know, you get an insight and you know something, you know, but you don't want to say it out loud because you're kind of afraid that it's not going to be really true and it'll spoil the whole thing for you, you know. But when somebody makes you say it, then, and it's true, then it just makes it more beautiful of a thing.
Memories. victory.
Everfrog Esports trying to find an angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a roll. We're gonna take black. White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
Beast Mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Santi gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Oh. 50 getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Saga4 is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick on the Linky. They're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Manages to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the 8? They get the 8.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're at in the world. Some more CGL action heading your way deep in the playoffs. The grind don't stop ever, as you see here with a late night NA game to keep things rolling here at CGL. I am Megalas. That is Soav. Soav, how you doing?
I mean, we're burning the midnight oil, like you said last, but this is sure to be an interesting one. Team Prosperous coming into the number 1 seed versus Monolith down in the losers bracket. I mean, there's a lot to say about this. Team Prosperous was the number 1 seed coming in, hadn't dropped a game in the season, lost in round 1 after the bye to Monolith. So this is like the most like ego match that Team Prosperous really like wants and needs right now. So there's a lot on the line for both these teams, and that's not even including the grand finals.
Exactly, with a loser final situation, like you said, winner moves on to that grand final. Loser goes home empty-handed with a bronze medal and regret. And yeah, like you were saying, this is going to be potentially the run back for Team Prosperous, right? Monolith able to pull off the upset the first time around here, but Prosperous, ever since dropping to that lower bracket, so if they haven't dropped a single map, this is the classic 1 seed has dropped to lower bracket, and now they are angry. So we'll have to see if Monolith can really pull it off again.
Yeah, what's interesting is Monolith, only dropping this only after losing to Iliad Artemis, are current sitting in the grand finals, as you see off on the side there. But check Rinner's round 2 there. Last time we saw these two, it was Monolith coming in 3-1 fashion. But like you said, it's really hard because Team Prosperous, I mean, you have to imagine with all those 3-0s behind them, just the wake of bodies, the doors with the Death Reaper, in their way, like they have to be out for revenge. So I think Monolith, maybe they've won before, but they have a lot cut out for them to prove if they want to get back and get another shot at the Kings at the top of the mountain.
And that's just sort of how it goes, right? I feel like it's a tale as old as time with brackets like this. But, the matches, they always have to come around eventually. We're in that top 3 situation. Teams want the grand finals more than anything, especially here in NA Open. Because, let's call it what it is. There's prize money on the line. If you can make it to that grand final, and you'd love to cut yourself a check after a nice long season here. But, for this matchup in specific, like we said, the stakes are set. Heading into the match itself, I believe we have first map, potentially, even though it's probably...
You know what it is. We don't even need to talk about it. Yeah, come on. We don't need to talk about this. We've seen this a million times.
Now, to be fair, I don't remember what series it is. I've only casted a few series in this playoffs, but somebody did pick Samoa.
That's true. That I did get to cast Samoa, and that was fantastic. But that being said, of course, we're going to Lijiang Tower. It's the one everybody knows, everybody scrims. So no real map advantage to either team in that regard. So we'll have to look instead to the bans to see if either team wants to, find an edge. We're going to go ahead and take a minute to wait for those in because, like we've talked about, there's a lot on the line here. There's money down the road and there's a shot at grand finals. But Lijiang Tower being the kind of default first pick I believe this is by Team Monolith. I believe had this choice. Like, it doesn't matter. Either one was going to pick this anyways.
The Lijiang pick was going to come through, and I like how you talked about how the bans can impact this right now, because the meta, which, you know, for most of the season was definitely sort of stuck in its place with sort of that Diva Lucio Kiri setup, you know, has broadened out quite a bit in this playoffs. We've seen across a variety of tiers, a variety of compositions coming to light here, you know, and not just here in CGL, right, but expanding across the entire Overwatch esports. People are trying to find creative ways around, you know, this sort of bogged down meta that we've been in for a while. So, you know, potentially some cat bashing on horizon. You know, I think that's been the talk of the town lately. But even besides that, you have brawl compositions, you have different styles, and I feel like, you know, flexibility could be the name of the game once again here for Overwatch.
I mean, it has to be at this point, because like you said, we've kind of solved the meta for what it is right now until we get patches that kind of change things around. But there's so many pieces that are interchangeable when you look at certain roles. DPS, you know, you're going to play Emery, you're going to play Sojourn, you're going to play Ashe. Like those, like you ban one, the other ones pop up. It's basically a game of whack-a-mole right now. I think with the exception being arguably kind of tank. You know, we still see a lot of Diva, but you know, it just becomes, you know, what does the map kind of enable you to do? High ground maps, you have to look towards a Winston or something else. But these low ground maps where Brawl can and these kinds of rush comps can really kind of take it away. Like we're seeing Sigma in some places, and we haven't seen that in what feels like forever. So I don't know. I mean, I'm a Sigma enjoyer. I like it. I'm happy to see him.
Yeah, no, certainly. And alongside Sigma, you get the rest of the composition being very pokey as well here. So it actually frees up the supports from the prison they probably feel like they've been in, right? With constant Lucio Kiri, you get to see the ERA, the Baptiste, the Zen, even in some cases, if you're feeling really frisky about it, get to flex those hero pools and things like that. So it certainly can come to light here. And I feel as though maps also are going to determine it, especially as we go throughout this series, but just in general, right? I mean, you think about when you're loading up into Overwatch yourself, right? Anytime you play a map, feels like each map is starting to develop its own identity, right? Almost like how we used to think of Circuit Royale as just the poke map.
Yes.
Now that's sort of coming true to fruition on every single map in the game here, where there's different styles that sort of benefit it one way or another.
Yeah, realistically, that was always kind of the hope, and then add in the bans to kind of balance that out a little bit, to where, you know, maybe we will take away some of those kind of fringe options. We won't see, you know, the Reinhardts, the Orissas on something like a Circuit Royale. We won't force, you know, the Winston even onto something like Dorado, and we'll give chances to those other ones. But it still kind of depends down to the player, you know, kind of choices. And considering both teams have players that have been very kind of scattered over the current years, you know, looking through the player list, several I recognize, but also a lot of them were coming from, you know, previous teams they had been on together in Masters Division and GM and across the board, including even one defector from Team Prosperous over to Monolith at some point. So, you know, a wide variety of, you know, just players and talent across the board means that, like you said, maybe we'll get a little bit of variety. Maybe we'll see a little bit of value. Maybe we'll even see a one trigger. I'm very excited to see what these guys bring, because Masters is always such an interesting division to look, honestly. Or sorry, Open is. Open's always is very, very open. I was thinking Masters, because Masters is another, feels like a similar vibe to how this is kind of played out.
Yeah, certainly here. And it's just one of those things where things keep, you know, like variety is the name of the game, the spice of life, if you will. And I feel like we can hit on that point only so many times here, but we are still just waiting. Apparently, there's tech issues on the back end. So, you know, we'll get to bans where we get to them, but in the meantime, you know, Overwatch is still Overwatch. So, you know, it's not. Yeah. It feels like it changes, but at the same time, we could be hyping up all this variety just to walk into two Divas, two Lucios, two Kiris, and probably like a Tracer Sojourn. That sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds honestly about right. The first bans will probably be something like Emery, and like, I don't know, maybe we'll ban out some sort of Brawl tank. Maybe we'll get rid of Ramatra, which will force us into the meta. And a lot of these players are fine with that. Like, that's kind of the thing about having a nice kind of solved meta is you know what you're playing, you know what you're playing against, and you said a little bit of flexibility just will kind of put that pressure onto the players. Sometimes the Sojourn and a little bit of burst damage is a little bit more, but the constant pressure from characters like Emre or Ashe, where you have something like those grenades or those dynamites, just really changes up, you know, how you play those comps just a littlest bit.
Yeah, and everything changes, you know, in those little in those little moments like you were saying here, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
again, I feel like we've hit every talking point,
Yeah,
and
it's hard. Yeah,
we're held hostage by tech issues. This is where I'd like to go off the rails, so you're coming
that's
with me.
now we're going off this.
You know,
Internet's sleeping
yeah.
right now. We should be too, but we're not.
No, actually, I just woke
Actually,
up.
that's right. That's
Uh,
right. You're a night owl. I forget that.
well, see, I haven't been lately, but there's this thing called like stress and finals and all that fun stuff that really has
Yeah,
been. You know what? I just realized you have a CGL hat. I've
yeah, I
not
do.
actually noticed that. That's
I've
crazy.
had this. I've had this hat for honestly. So we're gonna go off the about. So this is a good off rails point. This hat actually isn't available anymore, but I got this for like several years ago from doing CGL with Mr. Headrammer himself as like a thank you for doing the season. We can't pay you, but you can take one free merch once upon a time. This is quite honestly my favorite hat. He's talked about getting more merchants. So when Mr. CGL gets that in, go get merch. Merch is like this stuff's
No,
fire. Not gonna lie.
see, why wait for it to get in when everybody in chat right now can all just ping at Headrammer in the
That's true.
Discord and
You
be like,
could.
"Hey, when is merch dropping?" Because I'm sure Headrammer will love that. So in the Twitch chat, in the Discord, all of it, just go ahead and just let Headrammer know you're looking for CGL merch. Something
I
besides
mean,
the logo though. Like I feel like there's so many fire ideas you could do with like a controller and stuff like that, but.
the zebras hat is coming eventually. We'll get that. We'll get that in time. The XYBA hat will, I'm sure, come with it. But yeah, we have a nice little questions Discord. But we also have some bands, Mega. So thankfully, our stuck in Sisyphean wait is here. We're not even gonna waste the time. It is a Baptiste and Ramatra, and like we kind of just imagined, yeah, like we just took away Brawl, so here we are. We're just gonna go back to Dive. It'll be probably the Bogs. Like, I don't know. This is kind of big meh to me, honestly, Mega.
Yay, Diva. Yeah, like my biggest issue with Diva is like it's a tank character where the best usage of your ult at most levels of play
It's
is
to get
not
free
to
life.
go. It's like it's literally just to play aggressive to get a free life and be able to remake. Like
Yeah.
you're not going for crazy kills. You're not doing anything super fun. Like that's just what gets to me. But regardless, it's what we most likely will be seeing. But speaking of things we will be seeing, we do have the lineup so you can actually see who is playing on each of these squads as well.
Oh yeah, for Team Prosperous, we've got Galaxy and Sorks, two of the strongest DPS we've seen here in the CGL history. We've got Cap and Crunch on the tank spec and Prosper rounding up this. And yeah, just like look, the first three, if you've been here in CGL, if you've seen NA Open in the last 2 years, like Galaxy, Sorks, and Captain Crunch are just all insane players. They're all so good. The fact that they're here like does not shock me. The fact that they lost actually kind of does. So they these guys definitely, I remember having talked to them, these guys definitely play with like a chip on their shoulder when they take a loss. So they definitely will be playing to the 11.
It's indeed the plan here, but their opponents, hoping to get the upset for a second time this bracket, are not going to go down lightly. You have just Kaj and Gilbert on that DPS slide, DM for boost on tank, and then Smurfing and Smooktober on that support line here. And I think Smurfing is probably the largest CGL name I can pull out right here.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a name I've seen around time and again here. But the rest, fairly new to the CGL scene, or at least they've kind of had to rise up through the ranks here. But listen, they're in this match for a reason. They certainly have what it takes to pull it off. They've proved it before. They just have to do it again.
Yeah, here's your other fun fact. DM for boost was the I mentioned a defector earlier. DM for boost was the defector actually from Team Prosperous. So this will be very interesting to see how that kind of applies over. Maybe they learned the strats, maybe they understood the play style. But I do think it's not worth writing off. Like you said, like Smurfing's fantastic, but Gilbert over on the Genji has put in some incredible work. That's one I've seen around. And I do think that, we've talked about the Sojourns, the hit scans, the tracers. I do think Genji still has a very reasonable place in this meta for the kind of flex support slot. So I'm very curious to see how Gilbert manages in this kind of current meta.
Yeah, no, I mean, some people have been really able to pull off that Genji, but again, it just kind of, it comes down to what's needed in the situation. When you're in these
Yeah.
dive setups, I guess the hit scan isn't all too required, because most of the time, you're on the Sojourn anyway, just to slide out, so why not just swap it out for a Genji like you were saying here. could be that difference maker. But as we load into Lijiang, we get the beautiful sun, despite being very late in the evening. This is probably lore accurate to wherever this is.
Yeah, seriously.
Wherever Lijiang is in the world. It's so late. I don't want to say the wrong country, but it's one of them. That's for sure.
It is one of the places of the world.
Exactly. But what do you think these comps that we see in the spawn room right now here on Garden?
I actually think Cap and Crunch might come out on the Hazard. We've seen this across a couple of different tiers for Team Prosperous. So that Hazard actually coming out here, I don't hate. Sorks over on the Emre makes sense. Galaxy gonna eventually swap to Tracer. I think the question mark to me is, I don't know if Gilbert's really gonna get Gilbert has some good value to be had from the Cassidy just to try to keep, to try to keep the Tracer in check, but also try to deny Cap and Crunch some space. But that's a lot. That's a big ask for Gilbert. That's a lot on the shoulders of the Cassidy there.
On the shoulders, we'll see if Gilbert can deliver for this first fight. You see Captain Crunch currently trying to hold the point, waiting for the symmetric TP. Able to get directly on top of Gilbert, though, so already taken out of the fight here. Now the Hazard going forward, looking at that Diva Mech low, finally gets to break her out of that shell. It's like an M&M looking for the crispy inside there, but it is going to be a good fight win for Prosperous.
Very easily done. Galaxy stayed on the sim, which I actually do really kind of like that. It looks weird in this comp, but it actually does a lot of kind of just different mobility to kind of play into the dive of Captain Crunch. Still kind of in the neutral here with, everybody's still pretty even. I mean, just Kaj is the closest to that pulse bomb, but still has a ways to go. So just going to have to depend on positioning, and Prosper got caught out.
Caught out, and now the rest of the team trying to move forward here. They're on board with Smooktober, trying to stay alive, is able to for the time being. This backline providing the healing as the flip finally comes through here. Numbers advantage still for Monolith, trying to just keep everybody nice and healthy, and with a well-placed kunai, it's going to mean that Monolith truly is in control of the point.
I mean, they flipped it in the middle of that fight too also, so that's even better for them. It only got to 24 for Team Prosperous, so still very, very early in the fights. Just Kaj has the pulse bomb online. Just has to get the angle, but they are, again, they're trying to control White Room, but they see that the enemy is there. So pulse bomb goes out. I can't believe that worked.
Yeah, no, it was just one of those things, the hesitation in the moment, got Sorox trapped now with the teleport out from the rest of the squad, nobody wanting to deal with that. Monolith potentially looking to push their luck a little bit here, but deciding not to push past that White Room, stay in the safety of the point for the time being.
The Tracer will be back quick, and you did get one pulse bomb out. Now with Smurfing having the only other ult on board, Smurfing has to try to use this a little bit aggressively here before Prosper can get their own. They're keeping track. They should know they have the lead, but it just depends how these engages fight, because right now Prosperous has been a little bit defensive here.
A little bit defensive, but now the aggression is going to be on the side of Monolith here. Going to be dropping that Kitsune rush here, watching Smurfing try to do whatever they want here, trying to move the Hazard off the map. That doesn't really end up going well here. You're going to be able to climb back up. And now we're on with Just Kaz, trying to hunt down these low HP members, knowing that they are somewhere on the map. That tracking beautiful gets Lucio to half. But this entire time, Monolith still in control of the point. Now the Hazard having to come in with the downpour and the Emre on top here. Both teams expending sound barrier. Ultimates galore. Who can come away with the first kill? You see the Emre so incredibly low. Finds Smurfing finally in an extra shot to keep Gilbert out of the fight, at least for the time being. Not a kill, but it's just enough damage to allow the flip to come through for Prosperous here as the rest of Monolith gets a reset.
Huge expensive play from both, but Monolith got the better of it. It was a 2-for-1 trade with the protocol and the downpour getting canceled out by that sound barrier. So great decision from Monolith. I can see how that's coming on. Galaxy has this wall. It seems innocuous here, but I feel like it's probably going to actually be pretty big for this next fight. It's just up to Galaxy to kind of set the tone for it.
That's the hope here. You have that Symmetra wall out, though, for the time being.
Great.
Burning the Demon Mech so incredibly low and gets Gilbert to boot here before finally being taken down. So this is a numbers advantage for Prosperous here. But they have to decide if they want to, aggress further, or if they're just going to let the baby diva live, and it seems like it's just living.
Yeah, let him out. You don't really gain by letting her get back into mech. She will get there very, very quickly, but you also kind of have to push this. Galaxy falls dangerously low, and that means that this is basically back in Monolith's hands now. They'll push this. They have the ult advantage. They have the numbers advantage. They just have to kind of, take what's given to them.
What's given to them in deep here. You see the for boost going in incredibly aggressively. The micro missiles focusing on low HP targets, able to take down the Lucio and getting the flip here, while Team Prosperous regroups for what's going to have to be a frantic Hail Mary touch.
Yeah, it's gonna be last second here, 90 to 84 as the rest of it calls. Spec now finally respawning, so last second touch, the hazard will be the one there. Pulse bomb goes a little bit wide, but this is split. Team Prosperous actually might be their downfall, is this split.
Yeah, attempting to do a split like you said there. Gilbert on an off angle. Trades happening back and forth. We're in a 3v3 situation with the overtime wick starting to burn here, but members of Prosperous are missing. Now it's just Captain Crunch. Can't even get in the window.
It's the window.
And so that'll be round 1 going to Monolith.
That was the right decision. I really respect Captain Crunch there. That was the right call, got the touch. And unfortunately, those kinds of situations where you have to throw a body at the point always end up dooming you in the end. You gave up several of your just abilities on the hazard to get the touch. And it was just tough. Very back and forth from both teams. Very swingy based on just kind of a little bit of luck like that pulse bomb. And honestly, just some good decision making like this Simwell, a great split, and just to kind of give a little bit of safety for the team. I understand now how Monolith has gotten this far, and even looking across it. Captain Crunch never died. That's crazy, actually. For coming out on that end of that and never having died is kind of nuts. Gonna go over to the Zarya now. I actually do think, yeah, you can't run the hazard here. You need this better. Zarya is just gonna get a lot more value out of this, and we'll see Galaxy over to the Reaper. Shades of early Dallas fuel here. I do think this is a lot of potential to kind of finally cut through the Diva, who is just a menace with that DM. Just literally will stop all the damage coming through. This is the best chance to overpower her.
It's the best chance, but will it be executed upon? We'll have to see here. Sorux going ahead, letting some shots off. It'll actually be a kunai that takes Mook out of the fight here for the time being. So already missing that key Lucio for Monolith here. Nobody's going to be able to move around easily. It is traded out, though, able to find one on the Spec, and now Galaxy just trying to do what a Reaper does best, and that's shoot with a bubble, but unfortunately that bubble goes away eventually here. So now the only one alive to tell the tale is Captain Crunch, as Monolith's going to go ahead and move their way to the first cap.
I mean, they hold on to the charge, they get out alive, still no deaths in sight for Captain Crunch, but honestly, you're going to have to push it very quickly if you want to get advantage of that. They get Gilbert, and that is a huge opening. They have to push this 4v5 here. It's neutral, so they should get advantage. Just Kaj will come into a pulse bomb, but they have to just take advantage of the numbers while they have it.
Trying to take advantage indeed here. Is at least the flip is going to come through, except for a last-minute touch from Just Kaj there, but still a 5v5 engagement on the objective, trying to look for eliminations here, trying to see if you can expend some of that Zarya energy, let it fade away instead of letting those bubbles get value. Meanwhile, everybody's looking, the pulse bomb goes in, Suzu makes it so nobody's there when it finally detonates here. Meanwhile, Galaxy looking for the backline, can't get too aggressive, knows that there's danger there, goes ahead, hunts the Cassidy, forces the recall, and now looking for a little bit more here. Is Prosperous still in control, but it seems as though they fought to the door for the time being.
Yeah, they'll hold the door, 25% climbing, 2 pulse bombs up for Monolith. They've just been kind of leading in damage and in the ult economy. These matching Kitsunes, it should still favor Monolith just on the ult economy alone.
You would assume so. Now the Deadeye being drawn, Gilbert forced to let it go though, and now it's going to be a massive Graviton surge for Captain Crunch. Catches everybody. They run into it at the wrong time, and so Prosperous finally gets a actual solid fight win under their feet.
Beautifully done. That was the right call. They caught 1 or 2 on the edge there and just took advantage of it. And it was pretty cheap, all things considered. You'll take that for the cost of 2. They still have the protocol. They still have a pulse bomb. I mean, there's still a lot of TPS duels here and a sound barrier for basically nothing. Like we said, that Diva bomb is not going to be used offensively. It's going to be used for a free life. So Team Prosperous, well, that's no good. That makes this a lot less one-sided.
One-sided indeed here, trying to see what can be done, but Monolith already seems to be forcing their opposition out here and getting the flip as well. Spec incredibly low, has to hide all these critical HP bars, means that Prosperous didn't really get a team fight. They just kind of had to run for their lives.
Yeah, I mean, the disengage was not a bad idea. I do think he could have maybe stayed a little bit further, but I respect that decision. Instead, they want to get the full 5 push in while they still have the advantage, well, at least a slight amount of advantage. I'm kind of looking at Sorix here. Sorix has the ult that has to be the difference maker.
Yeah, and so now we have to see indeed here. You have Sorix, unfortunately, taken down by the fusion cannons from the Diva there. Trying to demech this Diva so incredibly bad. Does get the demech, forces the... Oh, that pulse bomb doesn't actually end up sticking, but the bomb somehow actually gets onto the Zarya here. What a crazy turn of events there. Their Team Prosperous starting off with a slight advantage. Unfortunately, evaporates before long, and Monolith now back in control.
Wow, that's a series of unfortunate events, if anything. 68% still climbing here. I mean, Captain Crunch is coming into another grab, so that probably has to be the win condition. We're going to have to use it probably into Smurfing's Kitsune Rush here. So, I mean, that's a great opening pick. You may not even need it now if you can push and just balance out and get another pick and just call it like.
Wanting to see what else you can do as now Galaxy trying to go in, focusing on the Kiri, but the Suzu's there making that Kiri stay nice and healthy. Meanwhile, Gilbert ripping another high noon, trying to see if damage can be found. Gets about half HP done to Captain Crunch before finally being taken out by a Galaxy in that situation because the Graviton was just too overwhelming in the situation here. So despite getting to OT, Monolith is going to have to flip one more time.
Yep, we'll go to one more fight here. Monolith needs one more to win it, but they do have no bank here. Like, it's just basically the neutral for them. And Team Prosperous, like, they have both support ultimates. I'm going to curse this, Mega, because there's simply no way they should lose this. They have too many strong ults that they can't take advantage of. They have to win this.
They have to take advantage of it, like you said, but if it's going to happen, now is the time here. Kitsune Rush forced in the door, and now the sound barrier to boot is going to get them onto the objective here. But what else is going to come of it? Right now, you're in a 4v4 situation. You're looking for somebody to speed on. The speed boost gets wasted. Nobody's hunted down. Meanwhile, Lucio doing best to touch, but Smook is going to finally be taken down in the long run here. Captain Crunch, high energy, still gets one on to Gilbert here. You see Just Cash trying to find something here, but it's just all day, every day for the Zarya right now, while the Lucio plays evasive maneuvers. Going to be an override protocol, the cherry on top of this cake, or this round rather, as Prosperous sends us to Night Market.
I mean, the Zarya was just the right call. Just played well into everything there. And Monolith, though looking very good and winning fights very, very handedly at moments, just weren't quite able to kind of win it out. Again, sometimes the ults just kind of favor one team or the other. So, I mean, beautifully done on both sides. Again, this is going to be a close match. I'm not sure how... I'm not crazy about the Cassidy still. I see the reasoning. I see the logic to it, but I kind of feel like we're not getting the full value. Like, when you just compare it to like a Sojourn Overclock or something else, like I feel like you'd rather just kind of trade for that. Now that being said, I mean, Gilbert 17 and 8, putting in some decent work. Captain Crunch finally got their first death here, though, is leading the second most damage. So I think that's kind of the other thing to look at. No changes from Prosperous. Monolith is going to bring in the Orisa here. A little bit slower and a little bit more stable, but I don't know that was the change we needed. We'll have to see if Monolith can live through this.
Have to see indeed here. It is going to be some decent pressure onto Captain Crunch on the outside here to start the fight. Gilbert in a very unsafe off position here, but actually baits back out perfectly and then hits the flashbang to guarantee that kill. So now missing a Lucio, missing a Emre as well here. Gilbert's risky angle pays off here as now it's just a Tracer from Team Prosperous trying to stall this point.
All right, Gilbert heard me say I was questioning the Cassidy, and suddenly I was proven wrong. So, you know what, that's valid. I eat my words there. Sorks has even also agreed that we are going to play the Cassidy here. 70% to a high noon, by the way, is insane. After that first fight, like that's just insane numbers. So that'll come online mid-fight. Probably not going to get too much value, but that should be a big chunk of damage, and if nothing else, a little stability. Still in the neutral otherwise, though. So, I mean, Gilbert probably going to be the difference maker here.
Yeah. We'll have to see if that is the difference maker, but currently right now a lot of low HP members of Team Prosperous. They have to regroup, but they do have numbers advantage here. So finally now healed up, able to go in, and it seems as though the DPS have already won the fight for them. Going to see if they can get damage per boost as the cherry on top of this cake, and Galaxy will do just that now in a Tracer duel. But yeah, this fight over and done with.
Yeah, the second Sorks hit too, Monolith was like, yeah, we're done here. We're not getting that. And Sorks, again, is just one of those insane hitscan players. Like, I'm not surprised Sorks goes to the Cassidy and starts hitting this. Galaxy going to look for the Pulse Bomb here. We'll see if they have the information, because you can see Gilbert is kind of just a corner away. Would be a great target, but we'll see where it sticks. The Orisa dangerously low is a bad sign already.
Bad sign. You have this Pulse Bomb from Galaxy lurking, doesn't end up ripping it, decides to hide for the time being here, as now the movement comes over to the objective once again. Monolith trying to see what can be found. You have a low HP Cassidy, but Gilbert just a little too overzealous. That angle's not going to work a second time, pal. They know your tricks, and Team Prosperous able to now take the lead on this round.
Beautifully done. Galaxy's Pulse Bomb getting value. Kaj is missing, unfortunately. You know, maybe a little too, just a little too hesitant to take that stick for it. Try to get the stick on Cassidy. 4 ults for Team Prosperous. Still slowly crawling into the sound barrier for some October. I like this aggression out of Prosperous. You have to just push this. You cannot let them disengage from it, though.
Exactly. You want to be aggressive here. Just Cash now realizing the rest of the team has fallen around you here, so you're lurking for ultimately nothing here. You're gonna maybe try to get a cheeky pulse bomb in, but yeah, I mean, the second you do any sort of damage, you have to burn every cooldown running for your life.
Yeah, quick reset though. You get Kitsune Rush for free if you're Monolith, and that's fine. It gives you a slight advantage, but you still have to play through this Graviton Surge. So a big ask here. This is going to be a big fight with these trade-offs as we around the 80 mark. Everything's going to come out, and it's going to come down to just who has the better shot calling on this fight.
Trying to wrap around here. The Orisa almost escapes, but doesn't even get the sound barrier. The only member of the team who doesn't, Gilbert, able to fire off a Deadeye in the middle of that, though. But meanwhile, Sorix is already going to work here. Things are going from bad to worse, but Monolith has to try to turn it with the members they have left. Zarya Bubble going to have to be broken here. Captain Crunch still alive and healthy, and now you have to get bodies onto the point. It's going to be Gilbert, the first one to sacrifice. Next is going to be Smoop, has to come in, and a sound barrier to boot to make sure Captain Crunch stays healthy for the time being. Finally taken out by a shot from Sorix, and I don't think anybody else makes it to the objective in time, so Team Prosperous keep their map streak alive here in the lower bracket, and they take Lijiang.
I do see, actually, after this round one, though, Mega, how we got here, because Monolith absolutely understood what was happening in game one, or in sub-map one, but Captain Crunch, 35-2 is actually just comically insane. Like, I would love for my tanks in rank to do that kind of nonsense, but I mean, let's talk about it, because Captain Crunch had a lot of good teamwork and support on that Zarya. When we saw them on the Hazard, it was a little bit rough goings, as you kind of check here. They did get some value out of it, but just didn't quite have maybe the preferred play style, even if that was a preferred hero. The Zarya just finding so much more value and so much more just going for it. And Monolith looked a little bit better here on this first map. They seemed like they were just able to kind of play a little bit together. The comms were kind of moving a little bit faster. But again, once Prosperous, kind of swapped into the D.Va and realized, all right, we could just run them down. This D.Va's not going to be able to touch our Zarya. It was just over. Like, that was just, they figured it out, won the macro game, and just decided we weren't going to use this.
Yeah, and it's sort of being able to have those adaptations in the moment. Like you said, Team Prosperous was able to sort of switch things on a dime and figure it out, whereas Monolith, they then had to try to start throwing answers at the board, and they weren't really able to, or nothing was able to come up in their favor here. That being said, it was an incredibly back and forth map regardless.
Yeah.
Lots of tense moments, so I feel like this could be a drop in the bucket for this series. So
yeah. I think the 3-1 we saw in the earlier round 2 is probably a good indicator that we might even get all 5 tonight. I mean, we saw the counters come in and we saw both teams react, but it's going to be tough. Monolith will get choice of map and ban order, and map is going to be kind of a tough call. It's very possible we go to something we scrim and kind of standardize a Sarabasa King's Row. But I do think the really important question to me is, do we take the Zarya out now, or do we save that for later and try to play around it? Because the Zarya of Captain Crunch was really the problem, it feels like, in map 1. So I think if you're Monolith, the question is, do we think there's something, do we need to use the Zarya ban now, or can we save it for later?
I mean, just my personal philosophy when it comes to, that sort of decision of, do we need to ban a character now or later? My first instinct will always be to try to ban it out with a map choice. And what I mean by that is just like, go to some map where high ground's going to be priority. You have to be mobile or something like that. And so you just take the Zarya out that way, where it just doesn't become an option for them to pick it. And then you still have the ban in your back pocket when when it comes up that the other team gets to pick map again here. Either that, or they end up having to waste future bans on protecting their Zarya. So it certainly, can help you one way or another. The way that the ban system has evolved truly is something unique here in Overwatch, the way that you sort of can get back and forth with each other here. But that being said, like you said, Monolith, they also have map pick of the board here. We're not like other leagues where you're locked into a set rotation of maps. It truly is, the world is your oyster. Pick from the map pool of any mode, and that's where we'll be heading next year. So honestly, I'd have to refresh myself on what the map pool is, but immediately what comes to mind, Numbani.
Numbani or Dorado were two of my first thoughts. I know we've seen teams kind of play Numbani when they don't want to deal with Brawl, and I agree with you. I mean, not only just because I'm a Numbani enjoyer, but also because I feel like that, like you said, would just kind of ban out the Zarya by proxy, it forces into something, maybe the Diva Mirror again, or into that Hazard, which you were kind of able to get control of. So I do think, like you said, there's a way to deal with it by using the map to kind of ban out. But I do also think, again, if you're looking at other things that were the problems, that Emre was very, very problematic. Everybody has been kind of, we've seen the strength of Emre and the override. It's just hard not to look at that character and go sometimes like, yeah, I don't want to play that, so let's just take that off for now, force him onto something we think we can win. It's hard to say, but we'll have to look at the map first while Monolith is still thinking about it as intensely as they are. Oh, we have it. Never mind.
We have it. No speculation needed, but we'll just have to see. But it's Havana, so this could potentially indicate a swap of styles altogether over to the poke composition, which again, you can, banning the Zarya out by proxy here on this sort of map. Also, what I find interesting about it is it does take Escort out of the pool as well here, so this could be, something Monolith is potentially practiced on that they then can take advantage of for their future.
Yeah, Havana's not really one of those ones we see in rotation. This does feel very calculated and intentional. It also, like you said, leads open to the poke, to the double sniper, that kind of double ranged look, which I do think is interesting. I do think you have some of the best NA open like hit scan players between Gilbert and Sorks on both sides. And Galaxy's no slouch either, so I wouldn't be shocked if we saw Galaxy pick up and pick up something else as well. But like you said, a total flip from Lijiang Tower, and quite frankly, I'm just happy to see something else. This is going to be exciting to see. It does lead to a lot. It does make me kind of feel like an Emre ban is kind of impending. Emre is a little bit more mid-range, but you do have a lot of open skies on point 3 and point 1 where you can get a lot of value. So I kind of actually wouldn't be shocked if Monolith just decided, yeah, let's get the Emre out of here, because this is probably a place that'll do a lot of damage.
Exactly. I mean, that at least would make the most sense here, right? Because again, we talked about how you don't need to ban the Zarya here. But I feel like banning hit scan also, like, while the Emre specifically is problematic and can do a lot of burst damage, sure, you also have to keep in mind there's just like
there's like
8 other hit, there's like 8 other hit scan options. So it feels like, I'm not saying a ban against one is worthless by any means, but like it just got to, Monolith are banning. We go to the poke map and we this game sucks. I hate this game. Overwatch.
All right, I get it though. This is like, so your backup plan's like Domina, I guess. If you feel really spicy, you could play like the Orisa, but like, yeah, no, I'm with you. Why go to the Sigma place but not play the Sigma? Prosperous now have their chance. I mean, they probably just, they took Baptiste last map. I don't know what they're gonna look to take out here. Maybe they take out the Cassidy. Like, you have a wider range. I don't think you want to get rid of it. I really don't know how Prosperous kind of feel the need to respond here. Kiri? Sure, that's fine. Sure.
All right. This game.
Sure. Like you said, take out Widowmaker, there's 17 other options. Mega. So like, I'm not crazy about it, but like,
no, okay. To be fair, like, Widow is like, if you're going to hit on a hit scan, Widow would be the one you specifically hit on, map dependent, obviously. Because there are Widowmakers, especially here in NA Open, that can just sit 18 miles out of the fight. That'll force your Tracer to burn it. Exactly, yeah. Like, you're forced to literally change your entire playstyle to try to get around said Widows. So it becomes an entire thing. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, why did we go to a poke map to ban 2 poke heroes? I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to look at the teams and maybe even the lineups if there's a sub change or anything. Because I'm with you. Like, I'm not fully sure. Like I said, maybe Monolith's impacting the Domina. Domina is kind of the other, Sigma, literally, in a lot of ways. So maybe there's something to that. But the other option is we go to Brawl. We go to just like hard, like Orisa Brawl or like Ramatra Brawl. We didn't have Ram in map 1, so maybe that's like the plan. Ram can do a little bit of poking himself. So while we're not firmly in the poke circle of the the Venn diagram, I do think we are in a space, and we do have at least one sub.
Yeah, we do have Lilac coming in on the side of Monolith here, so could be an interesting swap up. Could be trying to
Double,
see
double,
that is yeah double
double
flex is
flex, maybe.
exactly what I
Yeah,
meant to say.
yeah. Double flex feels like the answer to that. Whether it's the Ana itself is going to be interesting. There's two Baptiste players out there. Who can say? Like you said, we went to Havana, the Sigma map. We everything that would have made sense from paper is out the window here. So, the one thing we might get though, Mega, is we might get the super close hold, which was popular for a brief moment. I'd like to see that anyways, but I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna hold out. I do see a Bastion though. That's exciting. Before we pause. Oh, it's bad. I see. Oh, I see Cat Bastion. Okay.
I love
Why are we
pauses.
doing this here? Why here though?
Because no, you replace the spawn hold technique with
Yeah.
because the whole way that you beat a spawn hold is you go Bastion, right? However, if instead of a forest sitting above your head, you have a Cat Bastion sitting above your head and spawn, where you're
Yeah, you're
able
not getting
to,
out.
well, not only you can get out, you can't get out, but you have to, you like there's covering and stuff for the Bastion as well as the cat can leave and things like that, so you don't necessarily have to full commit to the spawn hold. You can be like, okay, we got some time here, let's go back to the corner.
That's yeah. It's a little bit. It's less committed, but we kind of thought we would see this dreaded cat. Do we have a name for this comp yet, Lass? Do we have a name for this monstrosity yet?
No, but we can be the pioneers here. We
should.
can.
We should.
I feel like because the rest of the comp around it ends up being poke.
Yeah.
I don't know, like Apache comes to mind.
Apache.
Apache.
The attack helicopter. That kind of a deal. Yeah.
Yeah, that could be fun. I mean, you have, like I said, you have just tons of poke elements around the comp though.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, but we've seen this in CGL get run with like a Mauga too. Actually, the flying Mauga was almost more horrific in a lot of ways. But I don't know. There's definitely like there's a name for this. I just haven't seen it yet, but it will be the Cat Bastion, and fine. I'm very curious to see how they make this work and what is the result of this, because we've seen this work on half a dozen maps. Korea still loves this plan, and it makes me cry every time I see this in quick play and ranked, but you know what? It's working, so that's fine. It will be the double backline with the Iari and the Baptiste out of Monolith, which, that's pretty bog standard. We're going to play the Ashe here. Nothing crazy. They see the Cat Bastion, and I think now we're questioning our decision. Oh, never mind. We're good.
We're good for the time being, good being a relative term, of course, here. But we do have to see what comes of it, as Monolith getting a lot of free push right now. The rest of the team having to play incredibly far back and hide for the time being here. But in the meantime, you have Prosperous about to be able to re-engage on their defense here on the second corner, though. Like I said, already having given up tons of ground. You have some good focus fire from Sorux, trying to see what damage can be found here. Just simply waiting, realizing there's no cat in sight, kind of makes Galaxy a sitting duck whenever you decide to poke out here, get that demon back to half HP with a well-placed nade. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, TM for Boost is having to touch the cart repeatedly here, along with Captain Crunch, so a bit of a back and forth on the payload here. Nothing coming from it just yet. A well-placed dynamite, though, is going to keep people burning for the time being as the cart edges ever closer, and I know HP bars are dwindling, but you got to get people out, Prosperous, right now, and you finally are getting people onto the objective, turning the corner with the Bastion in tow, and now actually finally sending Monolith reeling for the first time.
Yeah, I would say Prosperous was kind of waiting for the full five, waiting for the right moment. They didn't have the good position. They were kind of boxed in there quite literally to the warehouse, so they couldn't really get it. They'll start to roll back here as ults come online. It'll be a Nano with the Bastion. Nano onto the Diva is a bit questionable. We do have the Bob as well, so the Bob actually is probably going to wear through a lot of that while he exists.
Yeah, I was going to say, burns through the Nano damn near perfectly, and so now, despite only losing Captain Crunch, you have to give up the entire objective. Nobody else able to really touch. Beautiful immortality field means that DM for Boost doesn't end up losing that mech there. And I feel like every time I keep seeing this Ashe on 1 HP anti Gilbert somehow weathering the storm.
for now. Sorks will go over to match Ash. Yeah, that's just what happens. You try to win the mirror. I agree with that. But Monolith, again, they won it with the Bob. Like, you just have the ult here. Kaj sent the pulse bomb, didn't quite get anything, and we'll get a little free information from the Bastion as Galaxy's going to go ahead and, you know, look, forget that particular pylon. It's dead. We hate it. All the homies hate that pylon.
Yeah, interesting that Galaxy has not chosen to swap yet, but, you know, some sort of strategy lying in wait here now. Captain Crunch going like an attack dog, being told where the dynamite is, where the burning victims are, not able to secure kills. Meanwhile, this entire time, the payload moving freely, no contest coming out on the side of Team Prosperous here. Captain Crunch feels like you have too many jobs in this composition here, and it's sort of, you see it in the way Captain Crunch is playing. Now that Captive Sun doesn't end up connecting, or does end up connecting rather, onto Sorix there, Captain Crunch not able to be there in time to eat it. So now both Ashes down. You have the ER shoots through a well-placed window here to take down Galaxy. Absolutely amazing to see the pylon to boot here. And again, it feels like this comp from Team Prosperous, just there's too many jobs for Captain Crunch. Galaxy on a Tracer might actually benefit so much and help the team right here. As we're committing the rally, we're not done with this fight. Team Prosperous is willing to go ahead and go down with the ship on this one. The rally ends up doing nothing, and now it's a low HP Captain Crunch here. The DM is directly on top of Galaxy, not before finally getting a kill onto Smurfing. Two Baby Divas fighting. Who's going to come out on top? It is DM for Boost here. Now trying to stay alive, but it's going to be, it looks like a 0.2 cap after a very chaotic fight.
I mean, also, it was one fight, Mega. We didn't take any real other fights. We waited till the last moment to take that, and that's been Team Prosperous the entirety of this so far. They waited until basically the last moments to take these fights. I thought Spec was going to get off the Brigitte. That's why we threw in Rally, but no, we're still committed to this. For some reason, we think the Bastion is going to do it. And hey, they must know something in their strats that we don't. Gilbert has been dominating the sight lines, though, as we move into point 3 here, so... I mean, Sorks has the matching Bob here. Kaj has the... I mean, there's still ults coming online, but Prosper with his Nano is, like, going to be the difference maker. I kind of think it has to go on to Captain Crunch, but I really hope it doesn't. Good, it goes on to Galaxy.
No, then the Nano had to go on to Galaxy to keep Galaxy alive through the Pulse Bomb there. Immortality Field and hiding behind cover. Everyone's trying to stay safe. Gilbert going to be the only victim for the time being. Like you said, a well-placed boop here. Finally going to allow this Bastion to get a little bit of value, and it stops Monolith for the time being.
What a boop. Beautifully done. Just great teamwork from the side of Prosperous to couldn't get rid of the getting out of the Immortality Field to push them out of it. Beautifully done. You know, Bob's still online. Smurfing has another window, and Galaxy has a little free information from the artillery, but it's probably you have to wait until these Bobs get that corner. Gilbert wins on this versus Sork, so that means it's a 5v4. Monolith has the number.
Now Gilbert also has thrown in the Bob. It is slept up in the backline, but for how long? Now you see everybody is actually trapped in the tiny little corridor here, but Galaxy able to pop out, get one onto Gilbert for the Immortality Field can be in place here. Actually kind of nice here. Oh, but the Sunstruck connects onto everybody in the small corridor, so it's going to go ahead and detonate. Now forces the bomb from Captain Crunch here, going to be able to get the mech back in, but for how much longer? To be fair, the payload is not moving right now. Prosperous was able to at least stop the payload moving for the time being. Now forces the bomb out on the other side into the remech for DM here. Now, hopefully trying to get moving forward here. If you're Team Prosperous, you're trying to play this slow, get those support ultimates online. They are your saving grace. Meanwhile, Monolith just looking for an angle, looking for an opening, looking for a chance. And that might be it. Gilbert takes down Sorks, and now Smurfing at distance here, able to just try to deal with the Nano Diva, but Gilbert already taken out here. Both of us trying to care for each other, but meanwhile, you have to get back over to the car, Captain Crunch. Again, there's too many jobs for just you to deal with. Galaxy goes down. You have to get there in time. Sorks now down as well. Captain Crunch might be too little too late. Eat the pulse bomb. Absolutely massive, trying to do the stall of the century right now. That Baby Diva is eventually going to go down. Spec finally gets the rally, though, and Captain Crunch is still technically alive. This Baby Diva can get a remech here, even with the missing. Oh, really taken down as the mech is cold. And now the Tracer is fighting on the car here. The Kiri TP from Spawn, a last-ditch attempt here, but Monolith sends a statement in full caps here on Havana.
Man, that push was as high energy as that call, because that was crazy. I mean, Monolith just brought pressure all the way to the end, never stepped off the gas. I mean, again, I know Team Prosperous was kind of trying some goofy nonsense, but they just felt like they were never really in the position to kind of take a good fight. It felt like even when their comp was working, it worked for briefly, and it was just easily dismantled. Gilbert was just hitting shots, you know, on this Ashe, absolutely just dominating these sight lines, punishing anybody in those lines of sight. So, you know, just beautifully done from them. And then to Prosperous, actually, just a lot of their own downfall. Like you said, just gathering in small corners, eating the Sunstruck all you know, 3 or 4 at a time, trying to put themselves in positions where they really kind of just did struggle. DM for boost now the one without a death. 20-0 is actually kind of insane. Man, and Prosper, you know, 0 on the board there, spent most of their time just trying to keep the team alive. Like you said, just Prosperous just never really were in control of the fight. Monolith picked this map for map 2, and we now see exactly why they wanted to go here. This was a masterclass on Havana of how to just kind of play your way through and play this kind of slow poke comp. No, we're doing it again, but we're changing the back line. Prosperous is going to go into the double flex here with the Bastion. I don't know what Galaxy sees in the Bastion, but you know what? I respect the decision to stick to this.
Again, it feels like the Bastion just sort of leaves too many jobs for Captain Crunch. You have to be payload contest, you have to chase down targets, you have to, you know, be willing to initiate and things like that. Whereas the Tracer can do exactly what you just saw on your screens, ladies and gentlemen. Zorox taken down by Just Cash, being in the right place at the right time on that Tracer here. So now it is a Prosperous having to wait in their spawn room for that Ashe to respawn. Meanwhile, Captain Crunch going a little bit forward is going to be met with DM in the meantime. Now everybody trapped in the little alleyway here, as well as an anti-landing onto Captain Crunch. So incredibly low, finally taken out of that mech, and just going to be able to buy more time or just kill the D.Va outright. That's your choice here. And Prosperous going to be sent back to spawn.
I mean, yeah, exactly like you said. Kaj on that flank, just policing between the D.Va, DM for boost, and just Kaj and the Tracer. They are just policing all the angles. They understand and are seeing all of these matches where everybody's trying to move to. They've seen it through there. I mean, you can't send the wheels in there as Bastion if you're Galaxy. Like, I saw you do it. I saw you thinking you could get some damage on the D.Va, but you just can't. And now you're still very slow with no Lucio to kind of move this team around. I think that's really the thing that's killing the most. You have 0 speed to move this kind of team into position where you want to be when you're just getting out positioned by Monolith.
Exactly, so it makes it incredibly difficult here, as now you see the slow rotation of Prosper coming all the way around before realizing I have to go back the other way. But meanwhile, TM for boost is already in. Nano boost being the boost in this situation. That's going to be 3 for the D.Va, and everybody else on Team Prosper is sent back to spawn once again.
I mean, this isn't the close hold. This isn't like the frontal hold, but they're doing a really good job holding it, you know, like 30 meters out, pretty good. And Kaj again just gets value from these flanks. Just controlling the space and denying these kind of side fights. Beautifully done. Pulse Bomb again back up here. We'll see where it ends up. But, I mean, Prosper has a window as well. It'll be matched by DM's... man, like, it's hard to say anything other than just Monolith is just dominating this right now. They are holding angles, and they are denying Team Prosperous from just the ability to play the game. Just beautifully done.
Yeah. And so now, again, you talked about it, the denial to do anything in this situation here. Again, just contesting angles, being a menace here. You are seeing switch ups try to come through here. Team Prosperous going to try to make their move now here, pushing back onto the payload here. But you have these ultimates to burn. You have to actually be able to do something with them, though. That nano boost goes on to Captain Crunch. Captain Crunch immediately up onto the high ground, but a well-placed outburst is just going to make it so everybody else is going to be able to run for the hills. That D.Va mech so incredibly low, but DM for boost actually lives. That's impressive on all accounts. Gilbert is going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, doing a little too much there. So Team Prosperous finally might be able to get something going here, as the rest of the Monolith is going to go ahead and wait for their Ashe to return to the battlefield.
I mean, it's 45 seconds. We're coming into one last fight. 4 ultimates on for Prosperous, but it's matched by 4. I like, again, this aggression is where they win. I do like this from the side of Team Prosperous. They should get it almost across the line, but Bob will have something to say about that.
Yeah, and the Bob is just trying to buy them time on the objective here. It does just that, but Gilbert ends up paying with their life. So now you're trying to see what else can be done, but the pulse bomb ends up going wide, and Monolith comes out widely ahead in this fight here. It's just Captain Crunch forces the bomb because now you're going to see Captain Crunch try to get back in the mech so incredibly badly, but that mech is going to be short-lived. We're running out of time here. There's a Baby Diva and a Tracer. That's a hope and a dream to try to get to this payload in time here. Finally, Captain Crunch is going to be disposed of. Captive Sun coming out, no DM to eat it this time, trying to predict where enemies are going to be, and you manage to actually land one onto the touch. No touch from Galaxy. Monolith ties us right back up.
Yeah, Monolith took that first round loss very personally, it seems. Just, wow. Very, very well done from them. Great map choice, great comp to come out and do it. And yeah, I don't know what's going on with Team Prosperous. I'm not sold on the Bastion. I get the initial Bastion, look at the Cat Bastion. We're trying to maybe apply a bigger amount of pressure to kind of fight through the Diva, but it's a very front to back look. And it just did not work out. And then on your attack, if you're Team Prosperous, you just didn't win your duels. Like, straight up, you were in NA Open, you did not win your duels. You let a Tracer and a Diva just control your lines. You had no lines of sight. You could not get any pressure out. And Gilbert was controlling main, so you just were denied the ability to play the game in any context. It hurts if your Team Prosperous, but I think you can kind of also write this off to just being like, yeah, we didn't practice this. We didn't scrim this. We don't really. Maybe we're not expecting to win this. So let's just move along. Go to something we can do here. But that was a very strong showing from Monolith over, like, just masterful control of the map and masterful play out of the entire team.
I mean, don't get me wrong, masterful showing from Monolith, but you don't have to practice to switch off of Bastion. At least I certainly hope not. So maybe something a little, maybe we're holding on to things a little bit too long for Team Prosperous, and this is going to definitely send a re-evaluation through the entire squad here, where they're going to have to actually rethink the comps and things like that as we move forward in the series, because again, ever since dropping to lower bracket, that's the first map that Team Prosperous has dropped here, so
yeah,
going to be a little bit spooky on this one, so
yeah, I think you're maybe, like I said, maybe you can write it off mentally and not let it hurt the mental, but I think you still have to kind of acknowledge that, we're not as prepared as maybe we thought. So we'll give these teams a few minutes to kind of re-prepare and come back for map 3. Hang tight while we take a little break and give the team some time to think.
Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. 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 Yours.
Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
Welcome on back. Hopefully you got yourself a bev, maybe a snack, a late night snack at this point. Burning the midnight oil might be the correct analogy, as we are still here in the thick of it in this series, tied one apiece between Team Prosperous and Monolith. And so I don't know about you, but it seems like this one might actually end up going all the way.
Yeah, Mega, we were kind of talking a little bit between the game and it, the memory of the 3-1 is looking very familiar, if not the full 5. But I think it kind of depends if Monolith can have this dominant look that they had again. They are trying to get back. They lost in the winners finals to Artemis Iliad, and who are sitting in the grand finals, and they're looking for a revenge match of their own. But Prosperous, look, they lost to Monolith back in round 2, had to fight their way through the losers bracket. It's a ways to go, but they're back here. They just need to win it, and they have map pick to help them here as we move into round 3.
Yeah, map pick can always help out, as we just saw on Havana with Monolith, but the shoe is on the other foot, like you said, and it's going to be Team Prosperous picking out Suravasa here. And I mean, this is, of our Flashpoint maps, I think this is by and large the most popular for a reason.
Yeah, this is the one everybody scrims. This is the one everybody loves. It does just kind of, it is the preferred map. Definitely across the board. It is arguably a place where you can do also the most across all these kinds of comps. So we were talking a little bit earlier back on map like 1 and 2 about the Zarya, and if that is the time to ban it. I actually think Suravasa may be the time to get rid of the Zarya ban. I do think we have those bans in, so we'll see if I'm correct, but I do think that this is the case. No, it'll be Prosperous getting rid of the Orisa and Monolith getting rid of the Lucio. So sure, fine.
Well,
I mean, the Lucio denies a lot of the speed that the Zarya comp really needs to work, but I mean, the Orisa's inconvenient. I don't hate both of these, even if Prosperous is also banning to protect Zarya. Like, the Lucio does hurt that process.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. It was like, this is, by and large, most likely a Team Prosperous realizing that Zarya would be banned if they did not protect it. So go ahead
Yeah.
and ban out the Orisa. Surprised that it's not the Diva. Probably wanted to keep that one in the back pocket in case we end up in some more Diva wars, per se. But by and large, it's certainly going to be the name of the game here. And like you said, with taking out the speed, I think is perfectly fine. And now that has resulted in Monolith actually leaving both flex supports in for yet another map here. So this could be, attempt to try to change the way that we know Saravasa here, where a lot of teams like to play fast pace. Monolith might try to slow it down.
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible that we do see the Juno come out. That is kind of your only other option if you need to keep the speed and you are Captain Crunch. And I mean, hey, they played the Bastion all last game, so running the double flex with like Juno, Baptiste actually wouldn't shock me. But we'll see what kind of kookiness they come into. This is their map pick, and this is probably the most like scrimmed map between both of these teams, I would assume. So there's probably a few things probably thought about. I see the Hazard jumping around, and I don't know. I'm not crazy about that. I don't. Surely that's bait. Surely we go to the Zarya anyways, because we are showing spec on the Juno. That makes the most sense. And Monolith is just going to play the Iari Baptiste backline, which, it's sturdy in a lot of ways. So I do think if you are going to play a bit more slow and pokey, like they did in Havana, I do like it. Captain Crunch is going to roll out on the... All right, I'm a little hesitant here, Mega, because the Hazard did not fare too well on map 1. So Captain Crunch, you got a little to prove to me here.
A little bit to prove, but no better time to do it than now. We're going to be fighting on the outside of the point here, at least for the initial poke phase. Both these squads going back and forth with each other, trying to see what can be gathered, and it seems like not a whole heck of a lot for the time being. It is just this poke war back and forth. Monolith looking for a time to engage here, but they don't really have, the engage tools, rather, so it's going to finally be the leap in from Captain Crunch, trying to see what can be done. Meanwhile, a Tracer duel for the objective, forces recall from both of them here. Galaxy seems to have the upper hand with more HP, and with Prosperous winning the fight outside, Monolith's going to have to go back.
Yeah, Sorks kind of, again, just right-clicked their way through it all, so makes sense. Galaxy looking for those late picks, and, Captain Crunch is already 71 to Downpour, which is pretty big. I don't think Monolith is expecting that, so a few more, pair that in with Sorks' High Noon, and you've already got kind of a winning combination considering how fastly these fights move.
Exactly, so looking to see what can be done. The High Noon from Sorks already coming out here. He's going to delay Monolith at the very least for the time being. They know they can't peek that corner while it is up finally. They're just going to have to run for the hills. Team Prosperous now going to be trying to hold on with the downpour here, but it seems like too little too late trying to get onto the Baptiste. At least you get that kill. Might even get the Iari to boot here. But, I mean, after that, you are the only one alive, Captain Crunch, so you are going to have to retreat.
Yeah, I guess you got your 2 in that regard, but I'm not, did we need to commit that ult into a lost fight? Maybe not. You probably would have liked it to go with the rally, but that's fine. Rest of the ults are coming in 4 on the line for Monolith, so when the pendulum swings back, it does favor Monolith here as they'll build up to 25. They should be able to win this fairly cheaply. There's only the rally in their way, so they need to get the pick first.
To get the pick first, but it is easier said than done here, so we have to see what else can come. As already Team Prosperous coming away by and large in the fight here. They're just getting kill after kill. Gilbert potentially being left on an island here. Only so much one Cassidy can do, and that should be the first point going over to Prosperous.
I mean, very well done. Just rally was used to counter out the window to play the positional better. Prosper was really paying attention. A great way to set this up and win at that first point. You do also save the beam, the laser, and a pulse bomb going into this, so that's huge considering Monolith doesn't have anything incredibly game-changing. Like Lai does have a sunburst, but like in theory you should be able to beat that and not die to it, surely.
In theory here, of course, theories are going to be, a bit of a question mark here, but as we are looking, that pulse bomb ends up going wide, not a whole heck of a lot. Now another High Noon from Gilbert here, just trying to create some space, see if anybody can make it on the way to the objective, and it seems as though Spec peeks out at just the wrong time, goes ahead and catches it, that bullet directly to the face. Now the High Noon ripped on the other side, and just Cash taking down the beautiful flashbang, but now Gilbert in the right place at the right time here, and Captain Crunch is now going to try to roll in, see if another kill can come through, but it seems as though Gilbert has finally established himself. Ooh, with a beautiful immortality field to save everything as well.
Yeah, so that's a great negate. You'll have plenty of time to get that back for the next fight. And it wasn't fully costly, so you do have one ult on either side. This is just going to be one of those cases where the more aggressive team is going to win. I like this loop around from Team Prosperous, maybe to get an angle, but the Tracer has been spot out again. Just Kaj, this happened so many times. They didn't spot him. Last, they didn't spot Kaj. Kaj, he knows. He knows. This is over. Yeah. It's over.
Over indeed here, but you still have to be careful. You still have to see what can go your way here as Team Prosperous. Now trying to get back into this one, but it's going to be the Sun on the other side. Lie. More like bye with two in their name here. Captain Crunch going to be sent reeling here, and the Hazard, you know, playing a lot like a solo agent here and being punished for it time and again, it seems.
Lai said it's going to be me who's getting this fight win. So beautifully done from them to kind of carry that again. Just the downpour was like a good idea, but with Kaj getting the information for free and kind of knowing where the setup was, the angle was kind of taken away. We'll tie it up to 1-1 as we move over onto the next flashpoint. Back to the pretty much neutral Monolith with a slight edge in the ult economy. It's just, this is a tough angle for Smurfing to get real value out of this window. You kind of actually want to play this back so that you can get the most for value, or try to play it exactly into the center.
Exactly into the center could be the plan here, but obviously a lot easier said than done. We are now watching, trying to see what can happen here, trying to just Cash going incredibly low, has to force the recall there because of the focus fire. Now the amplification matrix. Oh, but just Cash slowly burning at the hands of the silver bullet, no less. Means that everybody has to hide for the time being here. And now Gilbert on a bit of an off angle. We've seen Gilbert take these all series long, but has to be incredibly careful not to try to get bursted down here. Captain Crunch now just holding block, but in the meantime TM decides to go for the low HP Brig instead here. And now Monolith really seems to have found their footing against this Hazard.
Yes, so they figured it out. The Hazard was, again, they kept it in control in map 1, but it's been very back and forth. Really kind of swingy based on just who has the ultimates, who has the angles, and Gilbert coming in from that high angle is just enough pressure to kind of get it. So Monolith taking the good angles again, using those to their advantage. Rally and High Noon coming in here. Gonna be met with a High Noon and a self-destruct. A little bit of longevity for Monolith, so you know, it's kind of hard. With Prosper's Rally, I think is really the difference maker here. It worked once before. Prosper has to be the hero, I think, again here.
They're hoping for Prosper to be the hero. Like you said, that rally, it can provide a lot of sustain, but has to actually do it. The High Noon's being held on both sides of the objective, trying to create space. Who's willing to peek a little bit more? And it seems like neither squad here. Beautiful pulse bomb ends up taking down all the utility in the world. That recall, disastrous positioning directly into the hands of a Cassidy. Has to be incredibly careful as now support ultimates coming out in droves here. Both teams are committing into this fight. You have the trade back and forth, 2 for 2, and now finding the low HP Iari with the flip already being Prosperous's way here. If you can get this D-Mech onto the Diva, it can be the cherry on top. As Spec fell off the map at some point, but the bomb, and then the remake comes through. Monolith actually gets to live and potentially win this fight. I don't know what happened to Spec there, but that could potentially cause no Juno to heal, standing in the way of a bomb. I don't know what's going on.
It's just craziness. It's every team is trying to take fights and win it on their own. 83 now as it continues on the fight here. We're back to the neutral. Smurfing has a window. Kaj has a pulse bomb. They have to use a Spec's laser as online. That's probably going to be sent immediately. Yeah, there it is.
There it is indeed. The pulse bomb goes in. Now Pulse on the other side though takes out Prosper. So it is a 4v4 engagement once again here, trying to see what can be done. Both supports carrying each other on the side of Monolith, living the dive from the Hazard here. Now being able to weather the storm once again here. You have Captain Crunch going to go down once again here. This Hazard gameplay, it's not living up to what it was on that first sub point here. And now with a second point under their boots, Monolith are moving to try to take this map.
Yeah, Prosperous just looks a little frazzled in those fights. It's why we see them go on forever. You can tell they're not necessarily following out the same target. Captain Crunch is constantly, you know, kind of like he's called out, on their own, just trying to pick fights and trying to beat a distraction. Where Monolith, you can see that even if there's, maybe a 1v1, the Tracer 1v1 on the side, the rest of the team is barreling down. DM for boost is just straight up boosting into whatever low targets are called onto. So Monolith just winning on the back of teamwork here. Lie with the ult up is, I mean, again, just as long as you get this is a fairly open point. So as long as you get Team Prosperous out into the open, you should be able to get value with this.
Key emphasis being should be. We'll have to see if they can do it. Now, more ultimates to boot here. Oh, but the downpour catches on, but a beautiful immortality field actually ends up keeping Just Cash alive there for the time being. That being said, the downpour still doing a whole hell of a lot in the time being here. Now, you have the rest of Monolith trying to go surge forward here, but it seems like they're just going to be sent back to spawn in the meantime.
For now, 13. We've seen Prosperous in this position before. They've won first point, a couple in the first 2 of them. So, you know, being map point here, it's very important. They cannot afford to give this up. Both DPS has ults, but I mean, Monolith, again, will have a slight more ult advantage here. And again, I just give the teamwork to Monolith. They're just a little bit more cleaner in calling out and punishing a lot of these players from the side of Team Prosperous.
Definitely cleaner indeed as the Deadeye tries to rip through the team here. Sorok's definitely trying to put damage in with that one, but now trying to see where the damage can come from this amplification matrix. Smurfing at least has the point flip come through immortality field again in response to pulse bomb. It's timed perfect every single time, but meaning that there's no immortality field to try to save those members when that dive comes through. A 3v5. Prosper going to commit the rally as well. Here's the cherry on top. It seems as though the flip will go right back over to Team Prosperous.
You know, I called out Team Prosperous for not following up on each other and, you know, taking those kind of numbers where they have them, and they just did exactly that, what I was looking for them to do. Coming into last fight, last touch here, I mean, there's a laser online coming up in a few seconds. There's a downpour coming in. There will be a touch, but the Divas should be able to get in and out here. No real loss of, you know, abilities or anything, so this should be a fairly even fight.
Even indeed, but somebody has to stay on the objective the entire time for Monolith. Otherwise, we're heading to that 5th and final sub point here. Galaxy is going to be taken down, though. And now Gilbert walking in with the high noon. Everybody on the side of Prosperous has to hide and be afraid of that one. Deadeye ends up getting ripped. Nobody killed, but low HP members and everybody hiding on the high ground for the time being here. As Monolith just forced on the low ground to sort of sit and wait for their moment.
Yeah, I mean, Prosperous just acknowledging and using the cover to their advantage is the right call. The ults now favor them. They'll enter with this laser, and they should be even to get value with the downpour, hopefully, too.
Hopefully, indeed, as now we're watching everybody go in that downpour. It does now also getting the captive stun, though. Prosper tried to hide so incredibly long, is going to finally be found out for that one. And actually, Monolith lives to tell the tale and keeps themselves on this round. This might be the end, Soav.
Yeah, last touch situation here. Hazard's at low HP. Pulse bomb's going to be the end of that. And there will be one touch. Someone's going to give their life for this. The question is just who, and it's going to be just a standard trickle in here.
It's going to be the standard trickle in, but Gilbert already has one looking for a second here, and it's actually all red in the kill feed right now. Monolith comes up massively in the clutch. The ball rolls onto the point. You just have Captain Crunch, and it was the Tracer here. A victory bomb over top the point as Monolith finds themselves in a familiar position with the lead under their belt.
Monolith wants it. They want to go to grand finals. They are just looking very, very solid. Gilbert 21-8, Kaj at 25-4. I mean, like I said, it just feels like the Monolith machine is just working better. The comms seem cleaner. There's follow-up onto all the abilities. They're, you know, kind of making their 2v1s. They're kind of swaying their matchups where they can. And meanwhile, Prosperous is trying to create isolations. They're trying to get dives. They're trying to create situations where people aren't paying attention, but it's just really not working in their favor. I still am not crazy about the Haz. I understand what we're doing, but it's really hard to justify what Captain Crunch is doing when you look at how much value DM for Boost is getting with just playing D.Va on the other side. Like, I'm a known D.Va hater, but like, it's just, D.Va's just getting so much more value than Captain Crunch is right now in this Hazard.
Getting more value is certainly an understatement here. And again, it felt like that first point, the Hazard was getting tons and tons of value, but then, you know, it was this adaptation, not necessarily by switching heroes, but by, you know, Monolith realizing how to play against it and how to sort of deal with the Hazard, and simply realizing that the Hazard is going in as a solo agent a lot of the time. Captain Crunch is really trying to put this game onto his back, and while that is a noble effort, ultimately it's, you know, a bit of a foolish a bit of a fool's dream, if you will,
Yeah.
in this situation, because you're not going to be able to do that in this kind of situation. You have to rely on your team, and Team Prosperous, for the second time this season, by the same team finds their backs against the wall, and this is unfamiliar territory for them once again.
Yeah, and again, I said this in the initial roster. Like, you have arguably one of the strongest DPS lineups in Galaxy and Sorks on your team, and it just seems like nothing is really coming together here. I would love to be a fly on the wall for those comms, because it just seems like what should arguably be that powerful team that never dropped a map, that never lost a game in the season, shouldn't be struggling at this point, considering the changes that have come through. But match point last, they'll get one last shot, they'll get a map pick, and they should get ban order. My concern though is that it's map point, there's blood in the water, and Monolith is just going to take away Zarya. So this has to be a protect ban, I feel like, if you are going to be Team Prosperous. Like, I just don't see a world. Like, you have to hit the D.Va now. It takes away that, like, regardless of map. We have map, by the way. I'm talking about bans because I feel like that's the most important part. But, like, okay, so we have to be taking away D.Va. I don't see a world where we go to Nimbani and then just not delete D.Va. Because otherwise this feels like Havana again, and I need to see some more information. Otherwise I don't see this making any sense for Prosperous.
Making sense is certainly going to be the question on everybody's mind here, as it is just that, little bit of fear that you have to consider here, again. But like you said, most likely a D.Va ban. Prosperous could eventually try to... It could be a situation where they give up the GOAT and decide to play the D.Va themselves and ban out something else that could be annoying them. I mean, the Iari comes to mind, right?
Yeah.
This double flex backline really has been putting in the work for the side of Monolith as well here. But tons of different options, tons of different things to consider. And it's just, again, it feels like Prosperous, they really need to come up with an answer here and now.
Yeah, I don't hate that answer. Yeah, good read, Mega. I don't hate that answer. That tells me that they are going to play D.Va then, and they're just going to take the mirror, and they feel like the ERE is just doing too much. I mean, she does put out a lot of healing. That ult is very good, especially at the open level here. Monolith will get the chance to turn this back. You don't need to take out Zarya. Zarya dies to the map pick. So if you're Monolith, I mean, what are you really afraid of? I mean, maybe you just take away the hazard because that's their comfort pick, but like the hazard wasn't really a threat. So I feel like maybe it's a DPS pick. I just couldn't tell you what, because Gilbert's just been kind of dominating those kind of hit scan lines. Yeah, fine.
Dominating is an understatement. And honestly, I feel like you will take this hazard ban if you are on the side of Prosperous, right? Because most likely you weren't going to play the hazard again anyway. You sort of realized that you had to give up the go on that one. So absolutely, again, take that all the way to the bank, if you will, here. But again, it comes down to if this is actually going to pay off for Prosperous, not just getting rid of a key hero like Iari, you have to change how you're playing the game, right? Cat and Crunch can't be going in alone on these, crazy hoping to get some insane kill or something of the nature. You have to actually be functioning and walking as a team here. So definitely going to be looking for that on the side of Team Prosperous. Meanwhile, Monolith, on the other hand, your foot's on the gas. No reason to take it off at this point. And interesting to note, even with the ERE ban, Monolith's going to stick with their double flex backline.
Working. You know what hit me while you were talking about the bans, Mega, is that Cap'n Crunch is a ball player, which I think now explains literally everything, because that's what ball players do. They're used to going in as solo agents. They're used to going in. So I actually wouldn't be shocked if we saw the ball replacement instead of the D.Va. That would also give Cap'n Crunch the ability to play a little bit, more solo like he's been doing, which leads me to several more questions as to why we were so adamant on the hazard. I'd love to hear that answer for. Sure, man. You know what? It won. I'm not even mad about this because it is a winning combo for them. This is just not where you play Zarya. Like, Zarya has such a slow climb. You have no high-low coverage. You're counting on Galaxy's Genji to do a lot of that. And Galaxy is a good Genji. Don't get that twisted. But, like, I don't know, Lass. Those are some choices. Those are some decisions made. I respect the desire to play what works.
Play what works. Play what got you here instead of switching it up. I mean, hey, listen.
Yeah.
If there's a time to try
Yeah.
to stick to it, it could be here on first point. Second and third point, it gets a little bit more tricky, but those are demons that you'll have to address once you get there. Captain Crunch going to be holding on this high ground here as the initial push comes through from Monolith onto this high ground. Everybody's just willing to go ahead and poke. Just Cash, meanwhile, in position here, ready to strike whenever TM goes ahead and gives the call like, hey, I'm going. So just going to be a matter of time for that Tracer waiting. Meanwhile, there comes the at least a little tap engage, trying to see what is netted here, try to figure out positions and things like that. As now there comes Just Cash trying to pull a little bit of attention here in this backline onto the Kiri. Low HP finally gets Prosper. Beautiful start to the fight here. Now has to actually execute on it as Monolith now surging forward once again here. That pick was all they needed and more here. Captain Crunch asleep at the wheel. That certainly is a metaphor for what's going on right now.
Yeah, Prosperous just, again, a little bit of a split hold on that, just got picked apart. The thing about the Zarya is that you don't have mobility to kind of turn around and deal with anything, Tracer on the flank or anything like that, so just excellent textbook execution to kind of separate the death ball, pull the attention, and then capitalize on it. There was nothing for Prosper to really do. You tried to play mobility, but just Kaj now in a dangerous situation, going to play very, very deep here, and Captain Crunch is coming into a grab, so I mean, this has usually been their key fight-winning ult in previous maps. Surely we can get value with that, or Sorks can do it too.
Surely we can, but meanwhile, yeah, Sorks going ahead and just doing it, because why not, right? You don't need to do any fancy work, just go ahead and take that fight over, and just like that, Monolith going to be held at the corner for the time being.
Yeah, you know, the Emre back, like seeing this combo back in just does kind of make me look to Monolith and go, well, this is what you struggled with entirely. So, you know, maybe the whole, ooh, great shots, great shots.
Amazing shots indeed here. The combo as well with Just Cash. It feels like this Tracer's been in the right place at the right time for a majority of this series. While Captain Crunch able to get Cash out of the backline. How much longer is that Zarya going to live here? The TP from the Kiri, just as everybody else is running here. And Prosperous, low on members, is going to be pounced on in a very extreme way here, where now it is just more and more staggers to boot.
Yeah, and they'll get a lot of free progress with this. There should be one more touch here going into this. Captain Crunch did expend Grab Surge in that fight, but it's kind of up to Sorks and Galaxy now, the DPS line here. You have several high-value ults from Team Prosperous or Monolith. It's going to be just about your timing of ults, so you have to play this a little smart, and that's a good timing for Cash, who's been very solid on those close bombs.
Very solid indeed here, as now you're watching it try to rip back and forth here, but Sorok's actually taken down. Finally, an Emre ult that doesn't kill any and everyone here. Gilbert, meanwhile, firing off shots from the OC like there's no tomorrow, and it's going to mean that Monolith moves their way through point B, and Team Prosperous now again sent reeling, searching for answers.
I mean, we're back to where we were in earlier maps, right? We're taking fights a bit late for Team Prosperous. We're giving up space to Monolith very, very quickly. 4 minutes 40 on the clock. Monolith is just, again, no, that ban was insignificant to them. The good thing for Team Prosperous, they saved Blade and they have a beat coming into us. So Galaxy has to get on the support line if they want this to stop now, and Captain Crunch has to save these bubbles. Oh no!
Save the bubbles, certainly exactly what I'm thinking, but now Galaxy is missing from the fight. Lili in a bit of a bad position, is going to have to fight the Kiri head on, not going to be able to live that engagement here. Back and forth is going to eventually favor the defense, but Monolith should be able to put this payload very close to the end here for whenever they want that final fight territory.
I was to say, and they really, really have like all the time in the world. There's literally an eternity in this with 4 minutes on the clock. Like, man, it's all right. Well, let's clear our heads. If you're Team Prosperous, you saved Blade. You have grab Blade if you want to put the two together. The only problem is Smurfing has this nano. It's going to go on to probably DM for boost just to give them a little bit more damage, probably a little bit more lethality. So, I mean, I want to see Team Prosperous get aggressive here. Kaj has been leading the way first.
Has been leading the way here, and again, now you're seeing Team Prosperous actually be able to push up and hold some kind of positioning here on this low ground, but you need to do just a little bit more, I think. And now waiting for the next engage. You have some good ultimates from both of these squads here. Prosperous holding forward, looking for this Graviton potentially. But it's actually going to be the Kitsune Rush first. Nothing else committed. Just going to be onto DM. Nobody else, or everybody else rather, able to run away in time here. So kiting the Kitsune perfectly, but still getting one onto Gilbert. And committing the Nano as well. Forces the grab in turn here. So both teams trading some ultimates back and forth here. But ultimately, Monolith is still going to be short-handed in this fight until Gilbert can return.
I mean, Prosperous needs to push this here. One more ult, maybe a little bit greedy, but this blade is correct. It's the only thing, and Galaxy needed to kind of put the punctuation on the sentence of this win, and that was what you needed to do. It's a heavy investment, but it was the correct call. You need to burn as much time as the clock. There's still 2 minutes. That's still 2 to 3 fights left in the worst case scenario, and Monolith has just been building ults, so you know, Team Prosperous, you have to kind of keep these ult rotations going because Monolith is nearing the point where they can just overwhelm.
Exactly. You're having to be incredibly careful. You know, make sure that your ults find value and that you can keep this team at bay here. That's what you're hoping for. The OC there through the window already deletes Prosper. Captain Crunch going to be the second one to fall here. Thankfully, the payload's full far enough back that you get a chance. But meanwhile, Spec thinks the spawn room is safe. It just isn't here. So now Monolith going to round that corner once again.
Man, that is such bad timing. The carry just jumps in the way of the window and the rail. While DM just holds the front lines. I mean, there's going to be one last touch here. Prosperous has to throw everything in their ults bank at this if they want to get out of here. It's the ult. They have to.
They have to indeed. Nano Boost now goes on to the D.Va here. Meanwhile, we're watching Sorux try to find something with the override protocol. Doesn't end up coming through here, but who is coming up in the clutch is Galaxy right now. Getting kill after kill on the Genji here. And Monolith not going to be able to get the full cap now.
No, not for now. Still one last fight here. Prosperous can maybe try to play this a little bit closer here, but try to keep the pressure up. They have a Graviton Surge, and that has to be the win con for them. It's the only thing on board. The Blade's around the corner, Kitsune's around the corner, but Monolith, if they get aggressive with this and Kaj can find yet another Pulse Bomb pick, it's over. Galaxy, though.
Galaxy, though, has to be incredibly careful here. Now, Kaj is going to be walking forward here. Has to wait for a little bit of healing from the rest of the squad. They know a Graviton's lying in wait, but Galaxy comes in, gets Gilbert, and gets out very quick and matter of fact here. Monolith now has to run away and make sure to preserve their lives as they are heading towards what could be their final fight.
Yeah, they'll get one last shot at this if they get out, but they still have to keep someone close. It'll be the Genji Tracer duel here. But in the high ground, Galaxy has been kind of winning this on the Genji, and now with a Blade, a Grab Surge, and a Kitsune Rush, again, just so many strong value ults that kind of outplay everything Monolith has, which doesn't have anything. So just, you know, again, layer them out as you can. Galaxy here, win the 1v1 duel. They need this win.
They need this win. Can they get it? Let's find out here. The overtime wick gonna start burning here. The Kitsune on the cart makes it incredibly dangerous for anyone on the side of Monolith to touch here, but you are now finally out of the Kitsune Rush, trying to surge forward for the side of Monolith. Graviton comes through, pulls the Cassidy from, it seems like the other end of the universe. Now the Blade comes out to Boo on top. Galaxy takes down the lamp, takes down Smurfing, looking for a little bit more, but the payload's moving the entire time. The entire time DM and Lili are over on the objective. And Soria so incredibly low, has to be careful. Captain Crunch shaking out and ignoring the D.Va, ignoring the Baptiste, means that Monolith gets a full cap. There's just no way Team Prosperous lets it happen like that.
Man, Team Prosperous just played themselves. I wish I had big in-depth analysis. They played themselves. They just did not. They were focused on getting the kills. They were focused on cleaning up what looked like a very one fight. But again, the communication of just, you know, hey, do we have everybody? Where's the D.Va? Where's the Baptiste? Where's the rest of the team? Wow, that's tragic. Is the only real way to call that, because Prosperous had the fight win, but then realized the objective win was not there. Just because you win the fight doesn't mean you win the objective.
Tragedy. To call that just a tragedy is an understatement, to be sure. Again, listen, you know, completely unrelated to anything there. That Cassidy, Gilbert, I think, should be asking for a refund. Like, actually, like, DMing Blizzard about a refund for the account or something. But at the end, it did not matter because, again, just not managing that objective in the proper way. And now Team Prosperous, a gargantuan task ahead of them. They have to cap all 3 points just to send us into overtime rounds and keep this series alive.
I really do hesitate to say that Prosperous has any sort of advantage in this. Sorks has kind of been leading the line in regards to, you know, like, how do we open up fights if your team Prosperous? How do we get first bloods and win? Because just Kaj has been dominating. Oh, well, I don't know why we fed there, but okay. Sure. This will be a teleport onto the back line here, directly in. So this is, I love this aggression. This is how Prosperous won before. They should get it right off this immediately.
Yeah, that feed is exactly what they needed here, and it feels like we're seeing the other side of the coin here, so because now it is just Team Prosperous getting to be the ones to push forward.
I mean, that is the way you kind of negate the like weakness of Zarya not being able to play high grounds, bringing a sim, someone who can move her around faster. This kind of turbo rush does work, especially when teams get caught off guard from it. Like, just well executed, just catching Kaj out and then just taking advantage of that is insane. Gilbert over to the Widow. This did get banned out earlier, so I do think Gilbert has a lot of potential to threat alone, but we'll have to see, you know, how bothered they get. There's no one to really bother them, so Gilbert kind of just has a shooting range if the angles go their way.
Yeah, great acknowledgement to know that there's nothing there. Oh, Spec, you're playing with fire when you're jumping in front of a Widowmaker like that, and just like that, Spec will be taken down, even with the TP on top. The Widowmaker staying to the bitter end here, now trying to charge up that beam here. Galaxy so incredibly low, tries to follow up onto the Tracer, is going to have to need the help from the rest of the squad here. It's still a back and forth affair. Honestly, full props to Sorox willingly peeking a Widowmaker you know can hit shots when you're on Emre. I mean, that's goal and a half here, but still, Prosperous then back to spawn with the death of Captain Crunch.
Yeah, I respect that, but Gilbert will get their one and close that out again. It's, you know, I do think Sorox can play into that, but, like, man, what a rough situation to be in. The cart in that whole fight didn't move either, so kind of just a very, very lost fight. Ult's coming online now for Prosperous, 3 up. They'll have sights, though, so, you know, again, not the highest power, but it will give Gilbert a chance to at least kind of set up the team a little bit better.
Chance to set up the team indeed here, as everybody on Prosperous decides to just wait out these infra sites, not wanting to risk peeking into the wrong angle because they are unaware of where Gilbert is playing. That being said, Prosperous has built up a good old bank of their own here, playing on the corner now, as just having to be a little bit wary. These TPs can come through at any point. You don't want to get bursted down onto, using the shield beautifully from that sim wall. Now going to be trying to live for a little bit longer. Nice little jump to the high ground here. Good tracking to get GM down to half HP here. So incredibly low, but another beautifully placed immortality field. I feel like I've said that so many times this series, but it just keeps happening. Meanwhile, the payload surging forward. Captain Crunch is going to be taken down. Now a 4v4 on the objective. Almost speaks into the bomb. Prosper finally realizing to know better there. Has to hold DM. Another usage of that immortality field. Meanwhile, the override protocol in this 4v4 trying to help secure the point, but so low in the sky is Sorox, just having to hide. I think potentially calling for heals and just nobody able to hit way up there. So now having to be careful. Oh, the Widow on an off angle is going to be poached by Sorox here, especially with the sound barrier. Makes it a little bit difficult to win that one if you are the Widowmaker, but Gilbert does it anyway. And so now, still with the numbers advantage though, Team Prosperous, they want to cap this payload here and now. If they can demech the Diva, they can do just that. And Team Prosperous not going down without a fight, still moving forward.
Sorox did what I was kind of hoping and kind of called out earlier, is there was no one to contest Gilbert on the, you know, aside from the sight lines battles, and Sorox just decided, look, I don't need a Tracer, I'll just take the side angle and take the fight, force the Widow into a bad area, and we'll do that. Gilbert is still winning the outcome, but lost the fight from it too, so not quite worth it. I don't know. I'm not crazy about the Widow. I think we're past its prime, but what do I know here? Captain Crunch with this grab, still holding on for a couple fights now, is good. It'll catch several. That should be enough to clean up.
Should be enough to clean up and make their first. Oh, off the map though, resetting the energy of Captain Crunch, and Gilbert gets a kill on the Prosperous. So what was supposed to be them getting the payload in towards this final area might now not result in that. They push onto Sim, the Galaxy is taken down, and while Sorox is getting some beautiful kills, the defenders are just going to respond faster. So now this could potentially be a 2-fight territory once again for Prosperous.
I mean, good for them. They have a little bit of time. They have 3 minutes to spare, and if they clear, you know, it does go their way. They get the overtime push, but Monolith now over to the Orisa and the Brig, so a lot more just a lot more condense, a lot more death volley here. They're going to try to play for the sustain through this difficult fight. Simwall from Galaxy is not the greatest thing, but if they play around it smart, they can win.
Playing around it smart is difficult when you're missing your hit scan, though. It is going to be able to force DM back for the time being. Now everybody trying to turn their attention to Cash on this Tracer, while still down a member, potentially wanting to fight here, as now the speed boost is going to try to come through to get everybody out of position, back up to the high ground, back up to safety. The Captain Crunch was actually left on the low ground, but it does not matter. The spam damage is there, and now Sorax is back in the fight here. Terra Surge on the objective, trying to get everybody out. Unfortunately, Prosper not able to leave, means that major source of healing now missing for the offense here. This might be another reset fight. Galaxy going to go down even with the Sim turrets to boot here. It seems like Monolith will get another decent hold.
Yeah, and chewed a bit of time off the clock. I mean, Cash continues to just be the fly, the nuisance in the back line, constantly taking Team Prosperous, because there's no one to really protect the supports there. The Lucio has to peel for the Kyria. They have to do a little bit more to try to when that Tracer shows up, and it just forces the whole team to turn around and just change their objective and their planning here. Seeing with Majors on, the DM for boost has the classic Orisa wall, and it will get. Oh my god! Wow!
Pushing into the Widowmaker. Gilbert incredibly far forward. The rest of Monolith is as well. Like you said earlier, they smell blood in the water. They're trying to see what else they can get here. Incredibly close. Prosperous now using the TP to try to get themselves safely to high ground. And just Cash, meanwhile, lurking in the meantime, is going to try to come through with the info from the infra site. Has to be incredibly careful. Oh no, don't peek in. You have sights up. Why are you peeking ever? Sorax, okay, staying alive at least for the time being, but now that pressure comes through from Cash in the backline. People trying to move their way over to the payload. Good body shot onto Spec is going to force the sound barrier, keep everybody nice and healthy. The rally on the other side now. Both teams back and forth here, just trying to hold position. Incredibly low in the spawn is Gilbert here, but that rally is going to dwindle away, just like the sound barrier, not coming away with a lot. Now you have the override protocol, the shots coming through, trying to find onto somebody here. Is going to be able to take out Just Cash, a needed pick, as well as one onto Gilbert here. Team Prosperous finally might be able to move the payload forward. The 3 picks, their name, they have to make sure to kill DM for boost, actually able to clean up a fight, and so it's going extra rounds.
You know what? That's the Sorax I was expecting to see in this game. You know what? I was not disappointed. That was a great play from them. The Emery back in map 1 had been a problem for Monolith, and you know what? They got rid of the hazard, and it was the right call, but Sorax is finally stepping up. Again, I think Monolith just has a slight advantage here because this Tracer, Just Cash, is just consistently in the back line, is just consistently making Team Prosperous look the other way. And this comp can deal with that if you are, playing a little bit more defensively and trying to play around that. But otherwise, you're just kind of dependent on Sorax just trying to get an angle here, get some shots, but it's been a very tough hit scan duel between Sorax and Gilbert. I said this Team Prosperous line was probably the best DPS in NA Open, and Monolith are making they're making me eat my words right now. They are looking like the better DPS line, which is not only how they're mechanically playing, but also how they're controlling the space of the map, and that's been how Monolith has won most of the maps that they have won.
So back and forth, a leaderboard that sort of reflects that. I think the most interesting thing to know about this leaderboard is Captain Crunch, while tons and tons of damage, mostly from that Zarya, not the Elims to back it up, just having to sort of be a damage factor in these fights while leaving it to the DPS line on the side of Prosperous. They're going to start on the defense here. Monolith only has a minute to their name here to try to get something. Both teams made early mistakes on their defense that allowed for quick caps, and now with both teams getting a second chance at defense, they're definitely going to try to avoid that.
The May from Galaxy is a different look. I do see the idea. Let's just try to wall off, maybe get an isolation and follow up on it. Great isolation onto the Ursa, DM for boost there. But it is going to be Kaj pressuring the point. Again, just pulling the attention and making him look a different way. Recall there means he'll get out alive though, but damage is done. That's a bit of progress.
Damage is done, certainly, but now Just Cash going to try to be a little bit bold, a little bit surging forward here. Oh, finds a low HP Captain Crunch, and unfortunately you can't grasp through a melee attack And so now that pick is going to allow the rest of the team to start walking forward. You have a low HP Sorax, and you find it. Ash going ahead, shooting more. Gilbert, go ahead, get a third one, why don't you? And this should be the cap coming through for Monolith, but it's going to start the overtime wick.
Yep, this is where it matters. The farthest Monolith pushes this is going to be the kind of point that Prosperous has to get to, because they will get a clear here. So Prosperous has to come back aggressive, and I don't think they're in a position to. We're still basically in the neutral. DM for Boost leading the way on the ultimates. I mean, the pull is good, but the Orisa, just doesn't die. Or DM for Boost is only 3 deaths this map, and that tells me that the support line is keeping their tank alive. They're not allowing anything bad to happen. So Monolith likely to win this fight unless Sorks comes out to be the hero they need in the moment.
But it's actually just Cash who's going to be able to find Sorax. And so now, missing that Emre, the rest of Monolith is surging forward here. Just Cash looking for a little bit more here, finds Prosper. And actually, Prosper just ends up standing still, waiting for death here. So this is more and more payload progress that Team Prosperous is going to have to try to mimic with a barely better time bank.
I mean, all right. This has to be the fight that Prosperous wins out on. There's Flux, there's a Blizzard, you have Kitsune coming around the corner. Like, you have, again, just very big space controlling ults that should win the fight here. But Monolith has pushed up and they should have a little bit of free information. They have ults of their own, but again, Prosperous, again, just from the ult selection, they should get this. Sure, I have to imagine.
So incredibly low is the Sigma, and now the Blizzard comes through, forces the Fortify. You have the Terror Surge flying away, pulls everybody together, and nobody does the payload!
Yep, Blizzard
Monolith steps off in the Blizzard and the Flux was enough to scare them away. And so it's not a full point B cap, but Team Prosperous now has their golden box of victory in sight if they want to keep the series alive. And so it's so much easier said than done.
Oh, it sure is. That was way much more than Monolith really should have gotten. Considering there's only 40 more seconds, maybe a whole team fight, there's still no room for error for Team Prosperous, and I would argue that has been kind of their downfall. They haven't been able to win fights back-to-back a lot of the time. Even this capture initially was done on the back of a little bit of a sim teleport tomfoolery, so a bit of a difficult place to be. They might try the sim teleport again. It worked in the first time, but Monolith probably is aware for it. Ooh, are we finally getting the whole swap? Am I finally getting my Captain Crunch ball? Is it finally crunch time? Because Crunch has an insane ball, and I do think that if this is the time we're just going to commit to this, there's no better time than now. Like, I do think this is probably the most time you can get, considering how Monolith has been playing. You need to kind of pick them apart, and this is the best comp to do it. I think this is actually their best chance to do it last.
This is the best chance for a dive to work. Team Prosperous, one way or another, has to leave it all out on the field here. Swapping last minute over to the Ramattra Symmetra. Going to be a brawl comp, trying to teleport around the map. Initial read, realizing DM is on this high ground now, trying to figure out where they want to teleport. A Ram Shield's going to allow them to seize control of the high ground and find Gilbert. Beautifully placed TP. Like you said, TP shenanigans, they might be the wave here. Now has to be careful not to get caught in this tiny corridor. Galaxy ends up paying with their life, but already a numbers advantage going even higher for Team Prosperous here, as Monolith is going to have to relegate themselves to touching the corner instead, as it is just going to be now the lone tracer, just Kaj, on the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, Kaj probably will not get out, and if they do, it will be so far away that it's not necessarily going to matter. So this is going to be a big stagger. Yeah, Kaj is giving them the runaround. Yeah, that's such a late stagger. That's so detrimental to Monolith here. Prosperous, again, we're still in the neutral for the most part. Prosper is the closest to anything here, and that Kitsune Rush is building up fast. So we are going to come to overtime by the time this starts, so it's going to be in the neutral. Team Prosperous, I love this. Galaxy on Tracer has to push the limit. They're doing it. This is what I wanted to see, is them get an angle on the side of Monolith, and they need to take this now.
Exactly, trying to be the aggressors here, and it allows for angles to be taken in. Sorax to find the first kill, now looking for a little bit more. Monolith send reeling. They know they have to get a full reset as a team. It seems like Team Prosperous is going to have to allow the reset to come through here. playing safe in the meantime. Captain Crunch deciding to take control of the high ground. Everybody completely cognizant and aware of it. However, Overtime Wick has officially started though. So now as the ultimates start to build up, you have to be careful about who stays on this payload. Prosperous, you have to stay on to stay alive. Sorok's burning now is going to find Just Cash with a beautiful railgun shot. Payload starting to move forward. No Tracer in sight, but that Ash is pressuring Sorok's on the high ground. No high ground contest, but no Orisa in sight either. Means that Team Prosperous, they bend as far as you can, but they don't break. We're heading to map number 5.
That's crazy. Considering Prosperous let go of the map win back in their first attempt to come back and just run it down. Again, you know what, say what you will about it, but sometimes it's just as simple as changing up your plan. Monolith has been kind of expecting the Zarya, the D.Va, the Hazard. You know, they kind of have seen a few looks, and they just change the lookout slightly. They bring Galaxy out onto the Tracer. They bring out a couple different things. Sorik's over to the Sojourn, and it's just enough to keep Monolith just on their toes and caught off guard. So just look, say what you will, say it's not honest. It's enough to get a win. When you're in the losers finals, honesty does not matter. You get whatever wins you can.
Nobody's playing for honesty. It's playing for keeps. You do what you can, punching back and forth here, trying to see what can be accomplished here. Team Prosperous, we've been talking about it all series long about how they need to, you know, Captain Crunch needs to be more of a team player, and I think that map exemplifies it beautifully, but still, these two teams, such high caliber here. So amazing. You would think this is the grand final, but no. Just the losers final. There's still another team lying in wait for one of these squads to make it out of this match.
Yeah, and we have one more. No, sorry chat, no map 6 for us today. So we'll give the teams a minute to kind of think about it. It will be Monolith's pick. Not that they have a ton of choices, but it will be Monolith's pick after a quick break. Do not go anywhere. This is going to be a banger map 5 after this break.
right, T. It ends here. It ends now. We joked about it at the start, so we're officially going to be burning the midnight oil on this one, at least here on the East Coast. These two teams, Team Prosperous and Team Monolith, here in the NA PC Open Finals for loser final, I should say, for CGL. They are not going down without a fight. Both of them want that spot in Grand Finals, and it's tied 2-2 heading to map 5.
Team Prosperous looking to avenge themselves after their perfect run in the season and wanting to get a shot and revenge over the team that brought them to the lower bracket. And I mean, Monolith lost in losers and winners finals to Iliad Artemis, who's sitting there waiting for the next champion, and they want their grudge match. But it has been just bangers. I mean, both teams have succeeded in such different ways. We've seen so many different. We saw Havana today last. Like, that alone is insane. And we still have one more map to go, and it will go the way of Monolith. Familiar spot for them.
Yeah, familiar spot. It is going to be push. It is the final mode that hasn't been selected here. So you got to go to one of the push maps in the pool. Runasapi going to be the choice, the name of the game, if you will, here. And with Monolith also having access to the bans first, I think it's finally time that we see our favorite Russian weightlifter go by the wayside.
Yeah, in Soviet Russia, Zarya bans you, but this is not Soviet Russia. This is CGL right now.
No, Kiri ban.
Kiri ban.
And that allows Prosperous to ban the Diva.
I actually do like the Diva ban out of Prosperous. That I kind of buy. You've been holding on the Diva ban the whole way through, so that makes sense. But the Kiri ban is really interesting. I'm fascinated. I guess you haven't been playing a lot of Kiriko, but yeah, okay, sure. I mean, the Kitsune Rush, when you don't have it matched, is basically a win button, so sure. But taking the Diva away feels like this is actually going to be a very difficult game. Prosperous has shown that they can beat Monolith's Orisa comp, so this is actually, I think, either going to be incredibly one-sided or a just brawl, even brawl less.
Yeah, I mean, potentially this could be something that Monolith looks back on and sort of thinks what happened in the series here to not take away the Zarya. But of course, you know, the Kiri ban certainly impactful as well when they haven't wanted to lean into the Kiriko as much, right? They also get the Iari back as well here, back to that double flex backline. They could be committing to a full poke style, realizing they didn't even need the Diva, just hinder by taking out that cleansing Suzu. That could be a motivation factor here as well. But regardless of the idea, these teams have committed to it. They've gone back and forth, and finally one final battleground to seal a spot in the grand finals.
And Runasapi is, again, it's one of those maps that is probably argued like the default map for the mode. Most people like to play it. Pros like it. It gives you a little bit of everything. It also works a little bit better for dive in some aspects than others, but generally you're going to want to brawl here. And Team Prosperous is happy to do that. They're going to continue to run the Zarya, I assume. They might show us the Ramatra again, but I'm inclined to believe we're just going to see probably like Tracer, Sojourn, you know, kind of the bog standard, you know, kind of open top tier play. But Monolith, I think, is going to be the interesting one. What do they come out with? They are going to come out with the Orisa comp. There will be the Babiari backline that we've seen. Galaxy, please do not come out on this. Galaxy, I bet on you. Please do not. I bet all my Twitch points on you. Please do not come off on this Bastion. It did not work in game 2. It's not going to work here. Please do not.
I mean, when you're going to be missing the area potentially, but no Bastion, so Twitch points are saved potentially for the time being. It is still a wait and see situation here, but teleporting around, we saw how Team Prosperous can use this to great effect here. They know how to place these TPs, especially with Captain Crunch onto the Ramatra here. Ramatra for Orisa versus Orisa. Both teams on the Baptiste as well. The TP in forces the Immortality Field early, but Smurfing is not going to be able to live that engagement here. Now the ER is so incredibly low. Lie, finally taken out here, and that means Team Prosperous will get this bot moving first.
Yeah, and again, it's just, there's a little bit of unpredictability from Team Prosperous. You don't necessarily know when they're going to rush and drop a teleport on you. But the one thing you do know is that there's incredible chip damage coming in from Sorks in this field, and then at just the press of a button, they will snap onto you. Lucio's going to go ahead and ferry the team back here. They'll set up a teleport to kind of get the rest of the way back. Great. This is, again, great teamwork. This is what I wanted to see out of Team Prosperous the whole way through. So they'll get it to halfway of the first point, but another point back here. So, you know, still in the neutral. Again, Prosperous just has to kind of win with their mobility. They have to use this to advantage. It's what they have versus this very slow-moving, kind of juggernaut stable comp of Monolith.
That's certainly, mobility is certainly a term for it here, but they do have to see what can be utilized. Only 22 meters gained as now another TP comes in onto the backline. Members incredibly low. Gilbert is going to be found out by the Nemesis form rather, and now also with Galaxy falling, getting a kill by the wayside. You are witnessing Monolith, while almost able to tie up the meterage, going to end up dying on bot. Actually, technically taking the lead, at least for just a moment here, as this fight is still going on back and forth. And Just Cash actually delivering the Tracer performance of a lifetime, takes down Prosper as well. So now Captain Crunch actually ends up all alone on this Ramatra here. This could actually be a little bit bad for the side of Prosperous. They thought they had this fight won, and now have to TP to retreat.
That's actually crazy that they stole the bot, still get value, get lead, and win the fight. That Prosperous has done this several times where they win the fight but lose the objective, and this happens comically too much if you're Team Prosperous. I mean, ult's online now. Galaxy Wall can be a difference maker here, considering it could shut down the ERE ult. The Captive Sun can get value, but it's gonna be a big question mark. Yeah, well done.
Goes up the wall trying to block the sun. It seems like it did that to the best effect that it could here. Meanwhile, Sorox is going crazy, but Galaxy currently, who we're on board with, watching the pressure go onto this Orisa so incredibly low. DM for boost, living barely thanks to smurfing, being in the backline, handing a little bit of a pocket. Just Cash doesn't know when to quit here, is going to be able to force out the immortality field, however. And now Prosperous back on their side of the map.
Should get the push around the corner, likely the lead also, because Monolith doesn't have it. They'll take the fight on the corner here. Yeah, there's the lead. Annihilation is up though, and I mean, there's nothing in the way of it. Pair it with the sound barrier, and Team Prosperous should come out on top here. Maybe even no Annihilation needed.
No, not needed. Like you said, already that sound barrier was there. Perfectly placed, doing exactly what it needs to do here. Again, the DPS line of Monolith trying to do a little bit of heavy lifting, but potentially too much here. That being said, Gilbert has found two in the fight, and Just Cash is still alive. We know how annoying this Tracer can be, but it seems like they're going to have to give up Butt Scratch for the time being, knowing Captain Crunch is alive and healthy on this payload. So now, after the Butt Scratch is obtained, you're going to see the rest of Prosperous running for the hills.
Yeah, I think Prosperous got what they wanted out of that, which was the checkpoint. It's not necessarily going to be too much farther, but again, this is just more about getting the lead and holding on to it. They still have Annihilation. They still hold on to this overclock. So, you know, again, a big area of effect damage, nothing to stop it. This should still be pretty good looking for Prosperous if you're waiting out this Amp Matrix.
We're trying to wait it out here. You see the tale of two Sojourns taking each other out of the fight. Now a 4v4 on the objective. Captain Crunch trying to walk forward with the Nemesis form here. Is going to be forced to use the Annihilation just to try to stay alive here, but ultimately it's going to do just that. That being said, able to find smurfing though, but he's traded out immediately for Prosper in the backline here. It feels like the trades are back and forth. Finally, a numbers advantage goes one way here as the rest of Prosperous is going to go ahead and run and reset.
I mean, they're also trying to, the rest of Prosperous is actually just trying to find the Tracer. Just Kaj just making a nuisance in the backline and just pulling the full attention. They spent 3 members trying to chase that while the bot went forward. Prosperous knows they have an advantage. Pulse Bomb goes wide, but they don't have any ultimates. We're in the neutral here, and it's up to Prosper, who's almost to an ult now.
To see if this Amp Matrix can come online and be the hero that it needs to be. The sim wall comes up. Everybody on the side of Monolith doesn't want to deal with that, especially missing their E already. They're just going to be running in the meantime here. They know this Tracer is behind again, but it feels like Just Cash has just been the thorn they can't get rid of.
Yeah, genuinely, just Cash has just been a nuisance. Overclocks will be up with the Prosper window, and I mean, it's not enough. Gilbert gets one. Gilbert, now owner of the sight lines, means that they'll get control of the bot back.
They should, but it is a 4v4. They were able to take down the Tracer in the meantime here, recognizing that they just need to play a little bit of an off angle. Gilbert getting a little bit frisky with it, being potentially in the wrong place at the wrong time, and is collapsed on because of it. So now you're trying to watch forward here as Captain Crunch trying to run forward onto the rest of the team, but now no Nemesis Swarm to move and no armor health left. You have to be incredibly careful to actually stay alive in this engagement, and you're not going to be able to. So now Monolith, while missing their tank, is going to be able to move forward and potentially match the butt scratch.
They should get butt scratch. Shouldn't be a problem. Maybe even a little bit past. So thankfully we should not draw at this point, but neither team able to chain these fight wins together. It's just been trading back and forth here. I mean, Lai has the only ult on board. Sorix is coming up to theirs, but I mean, aggressive Captive Sun here can shut down this push, and this is a very brawly comp, but never mind, Yari's gone. We're done.
Yari's gone, Captain Crunch there in the meantime, and now a quick little burst trying to finish up onto Just Cash, but it is going to be a reset. Now going to use that Orisa shield to try to charge up the Sim Beam here. Has to be incredibly careful about using that shield because, again, like we just saw, that Symmetra can charge up energy off of it. Has to be careful. Oh, Railgun to the face for Just Cash as now the Captive Sun goes out. Sunstruck means that Sorox, who just bought the OC, ends up going by the wayside here. And now Monolith, off the back of another amazing Captive Sun, is going to be able to move the bot back in their favor, but technically the map is still tied.
Still tied, and still 3 minutes to go here. Captain Crunch coming into another annihilation, and again, it's just these teams just continue to trade back and forth. It's one big punchy ult for another. You know, no real defensive ults aside from Prosperous, who have 2. They'll have the wall, and Sound Barrier still a ways away, so Prosperous again should just overwhelm here. It just depends when what is that wall? Excuse me, that is so far back. Wow.
Far back, but it gets the job done. It sends the rest of Monolith reeling, and you find one on to Gilbert to boot here. Now potentially also finding the Tracer as well, so incredibly low. Just Cash is having to run for the hills while potentially being pursued here. This seems like the Tracer can live for the time being. Now the tail that we've seen again, so have this bot moving back to the other side of the map. This team trying to gain the lead here. Oh, but Spec is found with a spear at the wrong time here. Now forces the immortality field to keep Sorox alive in this fight, but already missing your Lucio. It's going to make things incredibly difficult. Is traded out with Captain Crunch before Captain Crunch takes away their own life in the battlefield, and trades back and forth means this bot's most likely just to move back to neutral for now. But no, actually the amplification matrix is committed, and Gilbert trying to hide in the corner, actually able to stay alive.
No
Incredible
way.
right now. Immortality field keeps everybody up, but Smurfing taken down at the last second here. This could finally be the lead coming to fruition for Team Prosperous here. They were able to give up the massive source of healing, but they traded out onto Prosper and followed up with a Terror Surge, beautifully placed. And now Captain Crunch able to get one onto Lai. OC popped, but ultimately for no one, Gilbert.
No, ultimately for one, but still that's enough. You'll take it. It puts us back into at least a position where Monolith has control of the bot in a minute 30, and I'm begging you, Monolith, please get control and please take the push here for all of our sake. Sorix does have an overclock, and I mean, again, free sight lines, but great stick. Sorix does not have that overclock anymore because Sorix does not exist.
No, at least it didn't get Ajax, but the lead is finally seized with a minute left in the map. Monolith gaining meters time and time again here as Prosperous doesn't want to engage without their Sojourn. They're going to rely so heavily on that overclock, but meanwhile, each and every meter is something that's going to have to be gained back with blood, sweat, and tears on the other side. Zorox back in place. Now going to be firing off those overclock shots. You get one into the body of the Baptiste. Such a low ERE, but the Sunshot comes through. Only onto the Sojourn, it seems. Nobody dead from it just yet, but there goes the kills. And 30 seconds left, Monolith surging forward with more kills in the bank, and it's going to be an overtime fight, if at all, for Prosperous.
They should be able to get a body onto the touch. They'll have 2 defensive ults into this, but the question is, does anybody need to give their life for it? 15 seconds. It'll probably be the teleport onto the point, an early wall, so they'll be down resources. Their advantage will dwindle very quickly. Prosperous need this window if there's any hope to stay alive.
Hope to stay alive. We have to see what's gained as the bot is given over to Team Prosperous pretty much for free. Going to be one fight territory now as Monolith is forced to try to collapse onto this ERE. Is able to do it with the help of the sound barrier here. So now trading one ult means that Team Prosperous stays alive, but Soab, this is it. You have to give everything, both squads. The next fight decides the map, decides the series.
Yeah, we're back to mid. This is quite literally the one fight territory with Captain Crunch having this area control ult in the Annihilation. It needs to get popped aggressively, and I need to see them go onto the back line because there is a Terra Surge, there is a Amp Matrix, there's a lot of things that can counter out, so they have to play this correctly and they have to get value out of these ults. They cannot wait till the last minute. They need to get aggressive like they have. That's how they win, and yeah, that's a good start.
The Amp Matrix on the high ground is going to be mirrored by one on the cart. Meanwhile, DM for Boost pushed forward incredibly far. Is going to be a Terror Surge combined with the OC. No kills coming through just yet, but the Vermont are so incredibly low. Now somebody else has to be able to be on the objective for the side of Prosperous, but they're dying left, right, and center. And Monolith, proving that it wasn't a fluke, pulls off the upset 2 times in a row. Team Prosperous, your #1 seed, sent home.
I love the CGL bracket, man. I love this mega. The #5 seed beat the #1 seed not once, but twice to go on into the grand finals. And I think that really tells you just how good all of these teams are, that maybe you could have a perfect season like Prosperous, but you could still just, you know, lose out in the playoffs. Teams can get better, improve, and change their lineups. And I mean, that was a very, very close map 5. Some of these maps were a little bit more one-sided than the other throughout this series, but generally this was just haymaker to haymaker, matching blows throughout every single map. Lijiang going the way of Monolith was very much theirs. It was just very much, again, with aside from the Hazard pick initially, Monolith just seemed to be very in control with this D.Va, maybe getting the first signs of this, but you know, as the bans and as the maps came through, the smart ban from Havana was, or the smart pick from Havana was so good. But I thought, we were thinking maybe Monolith would just run this down in 4, but what just an incredible, undeniable spirit from Prosperous as well. Both teams playing incredibly well, but Monolith just seemed to have the better understanding of what needed to be done in the small moments and how to ban out and play around what Prosperous wanted to do.
Incredibly close back and forth affair. I think you could run this series 100 times and you might get a different result every single time. Again, these maps are so close. You're sending New Bonnie into extra rounds. You had, you know, almost full caps occurring on Havana and things like that, but ultimately, you know, there does have to be a victor at the end of the day here. And Monolith, like you said, they just came in with extra adaptations. They knew how they wanted to play the game, how they wanted to address things, and Team Prosperous, while not, you know, in some situations a little slow to adapt, they also were just so confident in themselves that they just could not see any other way this going. But unfortunately, that hindsight may be what might have bit them in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to say because, like you said, that Team Prosperous team is a very good squad. It just seems like when Plan A didn't work, Plan B and C maybe struggled a little bit and took a little bit of time to get going. But we're going to get a chance to talk to these teams and find out for ourselves. So give us a second to go find some of these players, and we'll be back for interviews in just a minute.
I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love. downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
All righty, interviews were promised and interviews we will be delivering. We've got some members from the side of Monolith here to talk about the win. First and foremost, congrats to you both for that amazing W.
Thank you, appreciate it, my guy.
Thank you. I was sitting in the spectators.
Hey, listen, every team needs a cheerleader. So let's go ahead and get right into the nitty gritty of it. For this matchup, you obviously knew this is going to be a run back against Team Prosperous, who you pulled the upset off once before. Was there any sort of fear or lingering sort of, were we actually able to do this again heading into the match?
Honestly, no fear. I was starting to get a little nervous after we sold on Nimbani. We definitely should have won that map, but we sold a little bit. To be honest, it was more like a rivalry because earlier in the season, in their post-game interview, they called us free. So I just wanted to say that we kind of came back and wanted to beat them really bad. They went negative every map, and they should never talk again. Gallifrey lived up to his name and became free. I appreciate the free $500 from them.
I mean, yeah. Hey, definitely not. And I mean, kudos to that. Let's get a little more deeper into the game this time around. So I think one of the things that at least shocked us immediately from that first map was, seeing them come out on the Zarya and just how much that look kind of seemed to dominate. You guys never banded out though. Was there like no fear into the Zarya, or was there ever
Zarya is just my fault to interrupt.
No, you're good.
It's just like a crutch pick because I play Diva, Arisa, Sigma, so Zarya just kind of counters it. So it's kind of a crunch pick, but we knew not to ban it because we could just run over the Zarya eventually. First map they got lucky because our Kasune got messed up. I don't know if that was shown on the cast. They got messed up, so we couldn't walk as much as we wanted to. We would have won that map dominantly. It was just unlucky. The Zarya didn't really matter because we knew that they were just gonna eventually force ram sim comps. We knew that that's why they like to lean to after scrimming them multiple times, and we just played them in ranked all the time, so we know their strong suit.
I mean, it sounds like you really read them. I guess my last question, because I know what Lass's final will be, is, I mean, you came into this bracket number 5 seed. I mean, did that ever like affect you guys? Did you guys know that 5 was like never really meant for you? Did you guys come into this thinking that was like you guys placed low? Like, how did that previous season, like how did the season playing into this go that you guys ended up 5, and did that like inspire you guys further to kind of push harder and just run it back harder?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, our whole season, we're kind of trolling around. I was kind of running Roadhog versus some teams, kind of, filling out teams, running some good hero plays, the Roadhog, let's see what else did I run. I ran some Reinhardt, that was pretty fun. But, we just had to lock in for the playoffs. The playoffs are free. Last season made the finals with Primordius. This season beat them to make the finals. And, I'm going to get the job done this time. Last season, we lost 3-4. We just lost to Iliad 2-3. We're going to try to make it another close game. It's going to 3-3, promise you. and we're gonna try our very best, and we're gonna make it close.
Hey,
Sold
listen,
me.
I would say, yeah, you love to hear that confidence, especially when it's a team you got to get the run back against in that grand final. So we'll certainly look forward to that match whenever it comes about. But before we send y'all on your way, this is the time we'd love to give y'all to, make any shout outs, anything you'd like to say. This would be your time to do it.
You lead, Belair.
You want to say first? Oh, you want me to lead? Okay, I just gotta
Yeah,
say,
you got your shoutouts.
the Baker hated us and left first map because we didn't play him on tank. So we got Lala in. Lala doesn't play support. He's M2. Let's not say that. That guy is the absolute demon. He carried the game on Alari. He came in, became the clutch factor because Smooktober could only run Lucio, and we did not want to run Lucio in the series. We like to run a lot of BAP comps, so we didn't want to play Smooktober. So Lala came in, clutch. Gilbert, Gilbert's like the Shaq.
Cooked.
Gilbert's Shaq. Yeah. Akaj is Kobe. Like, they had no superstars. They're built like the three and like what, the 10, 15 and 70 Pistons. Like that's what their team was. Like, we got that. You know what I mean? We got superstars. Like, man. And then I want to thank R7 for managing, because Zenith got banned in the middle of the season, so R7 made this all possible. So I just want to appreciate him. I want to thank Prosper for the win. I want to thank Apply for coaching me too. Apply coached me a lot throughout the season. That's about it.
R7, you got any love to share?
Yeah, I think By the Sea could have done more. He's kind of just sitting in spectators, and shout out to the Lair, and that's about it.
Yeah, definitely shout out to me. Wait, real quick before we have broadcast. Shout out to me.
Actually, one more thing. I think Crunch should get a better backline. Backline was looking real weak through all the games. I mean, Prosper dropped like 0-8.
Just saying, they should be happy I'm not in the MVP race, because that MVP would be mine in this whole playoff run. So they should be happy. I can vote me for Roll Star. Let me get an honorary thing.
Hey, listen, we can let you get something. If you can go win that grand final, we'll get you finals MVP while we're at it. How's just for that, so you have a little bit of something. But we'd like to thank you both. It is incredibly late, so we'll let you go celebrate the win, and then most likely head to bed, hopefully sometime soon. But again, y'all are gamers, so who knows, you can stay up all night. But again, thank y'all so much for sitting and chatting with us.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
I appreciate
Have a good day.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you guys. See ya.
Let's go, Nick. Yeah, see ya.
And just like that, so I have another another match of Overwatch in the books, and it's over and done with.
I mean, look, love them or hate them, you gotta respect Monolith. Just their confidence in that. A little bit of memeing, a little bit of trash talking, but you gotta have some confidence in your team and everything you're doing, and they backed it up on the battlefield there. They kept it against the #1 seed. They shut down Team Prosperous not once but twice. Several CGL legends on that squad that they just, they put him in their place. Like I said, you got Kobe, you got Shaq, you got a regular Lakers roundup, and I'm sure half the people don't get those references, but you know what? They go on to play in the grand finals, and they get their run back against Iliad, and that is, again, going to be an incredible matchup. This is any indication of the grand finals. NA Open is going to be insane.
It's going to be absolutely insane indeed here. But like we just said, it is incredibly late into the evening. Those matches will be played another day, another time, I am sure. Here we're in that final stretch. I believe this is actually the last week here. Everything should end. One more. Everything should end by Sunday. So these brackets are going to come to a close. We're going to have winners coming your way. So make sure you tune in, hit that follow, all that fun stuff. I think subscribe on the YouTube as well. Of course, shout out to Sohav sitting alongside casting this amazing series with me. Shout out to our prod. We had Rhino running everything as our lovely producer. I believe it was Honeybee on observing. And then we had Hippie doing those lovely replays. So we had a high level production value. But all of that being said, we'll let everyone go ahead, get some rest, and we'll see you all next time.
Take care.